Shalom, my name is Adam, and I welcome you to the parable of the Vineyard. Every day, Yahweh is waking up a remnant, a group of people who are coming out of deceptions, realizing our walk is to consist of faith and obedience to His righteous commands. Each week, we read through and examine a portion of the Torah, allowing the Spirit of the Most High to guide, teach, and open our eyes and ears to the wondrous matters out of His law. Join us as we seek to be refined by His Word, preparing ourselves for the return of our King of Kings, being faithful and obedient, walking in His way, truth, and life. Hey, Shabbat Shalom, and welcome back, brothers and sisters. Welcome to the Parable of the Vineyard. This is week 47, covering Deuteronomy 11:26 through 16:17. One of the major highlights in this Torah portion is the false prophet, which is going to be probably one of our areas of focus on this Torah portion, but not limited to that. Of course, reminding us of the life and death nature of the Torah, the blessing and curses. We're also going to talk about, which is a big topic in our day, can the feast days be celebrated outside of the Jerusalem over there in the Mediterranean? We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about end time stuff, like Book of Revelation stuff, false prophet stuff. And also the food laws, reminding us of the food laws. So this is a really interesting one, talking about the 7-year releases, the Jubilee cycle. So this is a lot. There's a lot in this Torah portion. So let me not delay. Let's get our shofars out and let's blow these. I think it's Isaiah 58 tells us to blow them, and that to show His people their transgressions. So we should be able to look at the Torah and be like, okay, am I living my life according to what His standards are for us, for His people, for His covenant language, for His marriage language? And so we should be able to constantly look at it and make changes as necessary, or to be confirmed, you know what, we're walking in the right way. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Let's pray. Father in heaven, we're calling on You, the Elohim, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and we just ask that You bless us with Your Holy Spirit, the Ruach HaKodesh. Give us understanding as we read Your word and want to obey it more fully. We want to be complete in Your eyes, and we want to be ready and worthy to escape all these things that are coming to pass and to stand before the Son of Man. Hallelujah. All right, let's get into it. We're at Deuteronomy 11:26, and we're going to have the word audio finish up chapter 11, just a handful of verses, talk about it, and get right into 12. Hallelujah.
Behold, I set before you this day a blessing and a curse. A blessing if you obey the commandments of Yahweh Elohim, which I command you this day, and a curse if you will not obey the commandments of Yahweh Elohim, but turn aside out of the way which I command you this day, to go after other Elohim, which ye have not known. And it shall come to pass, when Yahweh Elohim has brought you in unto the land whither you go to possess it, that you shall put the blessing upon Mount Gerizim, and the curse upon Mount Ebal. Are they not on the other side of the Yarden, by the way where the sun goes down, in the land of the Canaanim, which dwell in the plain over against Gilgal, beside the plains of Moreh? For ye shall pass over the Yarden, to go in to possess the land which Yahweh Elohim gives you, and ye shall possess it, and dwell therein. And ye shall guard to do all the commandments and judgments which I set before you this day.
All right, so praise Yah. We know it's even taught in mainstream Christian doctrine that you keep the law, blessing, curse if you break it. But I really think misusing the phrase that Messiah became a curse for us, or took on the curse, because it is written, curses everyone that hangs on a tree. And so what's sometimes directly implied and directly taught, or sometimes just indirectly by the nature of the teaching, it's like, look, Jesus lifted the curse of breaking the Torah, and then again, either specifically implying that they can therefore just break the Torah consistently, Or, hey, if you do, you know, eh, you should and that's what I see with a lot of, even with anti-Torah teachers, or anti-Torah observant keeping teachers. It's like, well, hey, if you want to, it's okay. Like, the law is still good, but we're just not bound to it, or we don't have to. And so I still don't see the precedence for Messiah's brutal death and laying up of his life as just a means for us to continue on breaking the rules. So it's like, make it even simpler. Those of you who are parents or understand the nature of a home, it's like you have rules, and your kids can't just go on breaking them over and over. I mean, that's just bad parenting. That's just not caring. That's just it's not raising a child. But the point is like, let's say your child keeps breaking the law, like breaking your rules over and over again. Like what sense does it make to have like a moment of the cross to then just remove the rules so that the kids can just keep now breaking the rules without any consequences now? Like, hey, let's just remove the consequences for breaking the rules. Obviously, that's not the point. The point was to free us, to clean us, but to also, of course, show us the right way and to walk as he walked. And so, blessing and curse, it's life or death. It's sweet or bitter. It's light or dark. It's blessing or cursing. It's obeying or disobeying. That's just how it is. And this is a serious matter. Just to remind us, Deuteronomy 30:15-16. See, I have set before you this day life and good, death and evil, in that I command you this day to love Yahweh Elohim, to walk in his ways, to keep his commandments and his statutes, that you may live and multiply. Yahweh Elohim shall bless you in the land where you go to possess it. So we obey it, it's life, or we disobey, it's death. Deuteronomy 32:46-47, and he said to them, set your hearts, like your life, like your focus, like your mind, like your desires, like how you live your life. Set all that unto all the words which I testify you among this day, which you shall command your children to observe to do all the words of this law. It's hard to misinterpret what he's trying to get at here, and consider that the new covenant is about the law being on the heart. So once again, certainly he wouldn't go through all that to do that for you to just be like, we don't have to do it anymore. Like, it's the total opposite for me now. It's like, man, it's just so much more intimate. Like, wow, what you did on the cross for me, sir. Like, I want to respect you. I want to love you. You say this is your love language? Well, guess what? I'm going to set my mind to figure out how to love you the best I can. And this is your love language? Let's do it. Let's keep the Torah with all of our heart. And let's do it with the right mindset, too. Not just for rewards or whatnot. Because you know what? If that's just what pleases you, aye, sir. Let's do it. So, for it is not a vain thing for you, because it is your life. And the context of that is this law. This law is not a vain thing for you, because it is your life. And on an opposite perspective, this is why he looked at the Pharisees and says, in vain you worship me. Why? Teaching the doctrines and commandments of men. So we have two options. We can either serve him according to the imaginations of our heart, like what we come up with, like, hey, you know what? I think he wants it done this way. I'm not even going to get into some sassy misunderstanding, but literally it's like we can either choose how to do things how we want, or what feels good, or what seems right, or how we were taught, or the way of the nations, or his way. And call me a literalist or a purist or a scripturalist. Man, I just want to keep it simple and do it his way. So it's your life. So the Torah is your life. And that's why Yahushua, in my opinion, says, he who seeks to save his life shall lose it, right? And so it's like we can either go our own way, our own desires, or go his way. And that's why he says about the Sabbath, if you don't do your own way, but call the Sabbath a delight, and choose to delight in the things he delights in, then I'll bring you to my holy mountain. Then I'll make you ride on the high places of the earth. And then John 14:6, Yahushua said to him, I am the way, the truth, and the life. And we know Psalm 119:1 says that the Torah is the way. Psalm 119:142, the truth, right, is the Torah. And now we know this is the life. So literally, this is our life. Praise Yah. Also, 2nd Esdras, chapter 7, in case anyone's new, this was in the Apocrypha of the 1611 King James. In one of the Genevas, 1560 or 1590, can't remember. Anyways, he answered and said, "This is the meaning of the contest, or like the battle, or like the war. Like this is the war. Like this is the big war. There's a lot of little battles, but like this is the meaning of the contest which every man who is born on earth shall wage." So you're, whether you want or not, you are a soldier and you're in battle, right? That if he is defeated, he shall suffer what you have said, which is torment, misery, Sheol. But if he is victorious, he shall receive what I have said. For this is the way which Moses said while he was alive, spoke to the people, saying, "Choose for yourself life that you may live." But they did not believe him or the prophets after him, or even myself who have spoken to them. So, at least from my perspective, it's time to get with the program, which is to live our lives according to his Torah. It's very simple. And so consider, he's like, hey, keep these laws so you can go into the land. And so I feel like we're in a very similar position. It's very evident that we're still dispersed under the nations. We're still under the yoke of the nations. Though Yahushua has freed us spiritually, and spiritually we've been freed, it's very apparent that we're not living in a nation ruled by Torah, nor is Yahushua directly reigning right here on earth over it. He's reigning in the heavens for sure, but his throne has not been set here on earth physically, and that's coming. I don't know if you guys just think that's all spiritually. I believe physically his throne is going to be set here, and it hasn't happened. And today is not the day. We've had other studies, but it is in our hands to prepare the way for him. We're supposed to make a straight path for the master, a highway in the desert for him to come. We've got to prepare it. So if we don't prepare it, he's not coming. We've got to prepare it. He's coming, and he's taking care of business. And when he does, we'll be able to fully live out his ways, which I think is exactly what the world needs. And we'll get into that a little bit later when we get into the financial aspect of things, of how I'm convinced that the Torah, the whole thing, all of it, is exactly what every nation needs. It's how this world, this earth was created, and that's why you see the sickness of lands. That's why you see crops getting devastated by disease and by intruders, because they have no defense. The plants themselves have internal defenses, but when they're weak and diseased, they have none. Why? Probably little things like the 7-year land rotations. They're not doing these things. They're running the land dry. And so these plants, they're lacking nutrients, they're lacking basic things like magnesium. This is why the health of people is declining. So there's these residual effects, there's these ripple effects of, if you don't follow the Torah, you're going to suffer. The land's going to suffer, and you're ultimately going to suffer. And the land's going to vomit you out. And he's going to place in its stead a humble and poor and afflicted people that will keep his Torah, that will properly tend the land. It's coming, brothers and sisters. It is coming. There's going to be a reversal in the land. There's going to be a complete overturning. The high ones are going to be lobbed low, and those who are lowly will be set on high. Those who keep his ways, right, he's going to set us on high. Deuteronomy 28, verse 1. Read it for yourself. It's coming if we keep his Torah. Also getting to Esdras again, a little passage here about the dispersions. And this is what I believe is part of the greater second Exodus that I believe has been happening for a long time, even specifically the last 400 years with the settlement of people coming to this land. You have people leaving spiritual and a famine of the words, where they're going from place to place seeking it and shall not find it. And so a lot of people have left their native lands and their lands of dispersions to come to this land to try and live out their faith the best they could. But once again, they built up this country, and the country, which I believe is Egypt, has become domineering over it and has enslaved the very people that built up this country. And to understand the magnitude of the people that came here, some came here rich, some came here and sold themselves as bond slaves. Some came bound, with not of their own mind, and came as literal slaves and were treated horrifically. The Bible was used to perpetuate that, but of course used in a sick and twisted way, much like the word has been used sick and twisted in many ways. But without getting too off the rails here, 2 Ezra 13:39, and as for you seeing him gather to himself another multitude that was peaceable, these are the 10 tribes which were led away from their own land into captivity in the days of King Hoshea, whom Shalmaneser, the king of Assyrians, led captive. He took them across the river, and they were taken into another land, right? So that's the dispersion. But, so here's another movement here. But they formed this plan for themselves, that they would leave the multitude of the nations and go to a more distant region where mankind had never lived. that there at least they might keep their statutes, which they had not kept in their own land. So this is that spiritual exodus that's been happening over the last 2,000 years. You have the 40 years in the wilderness wandering of Israel. Now you've got the 2,000 years. There's just 40 jubilees of wandering from place to place. And ultimately, I believe Yahweh has gathered the majority, not all. So some of you who are not in the United States, I'm not saying you're not important or part of Yahweh's plan, but it's got to be centered somewhere. And I believe that this is where it's centered at. This is where the action goes down, in my opinion. I believe in our days, we're going to see that land, Jerusalem, in the Middle East, just completely annihilated. I mean, completely annihilated, like how Sodom and Gomorrah was annihilated. We're going to see that in our time. And it has to be perpetually like that forever. And so I believe he's resetting his name and his boundaries, and I believe he's going to put it here in this land. But more on that another time. But it says so that they wanted to go to a land and look at the Puritan movement. I'm not saying that these are Israelites or whatever, but there's a group of people that literally like, hey, we want to go try to keep our ways the best we can, away from perversions, away from the overreach of the Catholic Church, the Church of England, other forming, religious entities, the papacy, right, specifically. So, and they went in by the narrow passages of the Euphrates River, for at that time the Most High performed signs for them and stopped the channels of river until they had passed over. So this is like second Exodus stuff. Through that region, there was a long way to go, a journey of 1.5 years, and that country is called Arzareth. Then they dwelt there until the last times, and now when they are about to come again, the Most High will stop the channels of river again, so they may be able to pass over. Therefore you saw the multitude gathered together in peace. And I believe this is a spiritual, if you will, parting of the way that people may return back to Yahweh and serve him and do sacrifice to him. Spiritual sacrifice. Hello. Someone's going to try to catch me in my words out there. Okay. All right, so let's go on to 12. All praise Most High, Most High, Most High.
Debarim, Deuteronomy, chapter 12. These are the commandments and judgments which ye shall guard to do in the land, which Yahweh Elohai of your fathers gives you to possess it, all the days that ye live upon the earth. Ye shall utterly destroy all the places wherein the nations which ye shall possess served their Elohim, upon the high mountains, and upon the hills, and under every green tree. And ye shall overthrow their altars, and break their pillars, and burn their Asherah poles with fire. And ye shall hew down graven images of their Elohim, and destroy the names of them out of that place. Ye shall not do so unto Yahweh Elohaikim, but unto the place which Yahweh Elohaikim shall choose out of all your tribes, to put his name there, even unto his habitation shall ye seek, and thither you shall come. And thither ye shall bring your burnt offerings, and your sacrifices, and your tithes, and heave offerings of your hand, and your vows, and your freewill offerings, and the firstlings of your herds and of your flocks. And there ye shall eat before Yahweh Elohaikim, and ye shall rejoice in all that ye put your hand into, you and your households, wherein Yahweh Elohaikim has blessed you. Ye shall not do after all the things that we do here this day, every man whatsoever is right in his own eyes. For ye are not as yet come to the rest and to the inheritance which Yahweh Elohaikim gives you. But when ye go over the Yarden and dwell in the land which Yahweh Elohaikim gives you to inherit, and when he gives you rest from all your enemies round about, so that ye dwell in safety, then there shall be a place which Yahweh Elohaikim shall choose to cause his name to dwell there. Thither shall you bring all that I command you, your burnt offerings, and your sacrifices, your tithes, and the heave offering of your hand, and all your choice vows which ye vow unto Yahweh. And ye shall rejoice before Yahweh Elohaikim, you and your sons, and your daughters, and your menservants, and your maidservants, and the Levii that is within your gates, for as much as he has no part nor inheritance with you. Guard yourself, that you offer not your burnt offerings in every place that you see, but in the place which Yahweh shall choose in one of your tribes, there you shall offer your burnt offerings, and there you shall do all that I command you. Notwithstanding, you may kill and eat flesh in all your gates, whatsoever your soul lusts after, according to the blessing of Yahweh Elohaikim which he has given you. The unclean and the clean may eat thereof, as of the roebuck, and as of the deer. Only ye shall not eat the blood. Ye shall pour it upon the earth as water. You may not eat within your gates the tithe of your grain, or of your wine, or of your oil, or of the firstlings of your herds, or of your flock, nor any of your vows which you vow, nor your freewill offerings, or heave offering of your hand. But you must eat them before Yahweh Elohika, in the place which Yahweh Elohika shall choose, you, and your son, and your daughter, and your manservant, and your maidservant, and the Levii that is within your gates. And you shall rejoice before Yahweh Elohika, and all that you put your hands unto. Guard yourself, that you forsake not the Levii, as long as you live upon the earth. When Yahweh Elohika shall enlarge your border as he promised you, and you shall say, I will eat flesh, because your soul longs to eat flesh. You may eat flesh, whatsoever your soul lusts after. If the place which Yahweh Elohika has chosen to put his name there be too far from you, then you shall kill of your herd and of your flock, which Yahweh has given you, as I have commanded you, and you shall eat in your gates whatsoever your soul lusts after. Even as the roebuck and the deer is eaten, so you shall eat them. The unclean and the clean shall eat of them alike. Only be sure that you eat not the blood, for the blood is the life, and you may not eat the life with the flesh. You shall not eat it. You shall pour it upon the earth as water. You shall not eat it, that it may go well with you and with your children after you, when you shall do that which is right in the sight of Yahweh. Only your holy things which you have and your vows you shall take, and go unto the place which Yahweh shall choose. And you shall offer your burnt offerings, the flesh and the blood upon the altar of Yahweh Elohika, and the blood of your sacrifices shall be poured out upon the altar of Yahweh Elohika, and you shall eat the flesh. Guard and hear all these words which I command you, that it may go well with you, and with your children after you forever, when you do that which is good and right in the sight of Yahweh Elohika. When Yahweh Elohika shall cut off the nations from before you, whither you go to possess them, and you succeed them, and dwell in their land. Take heed to yourself, that you be not snared by following them, after that they be destroyed from before you, and that you inquire not after their Elohim, saying, how did these nations serve their Elohim? Even so will I do likewise. You shall not do so unto Yahweh Elohika, for every abomination to Yahweh which he hates have they done unto their Elohim, for even their sons and their daughters have they burnt in the fire to their Elohim. What things soever I command you, guard to do it. You shall not add thereto, nor diminish from it.
Okay, this is why I keep it simple. And I'm like, you know what? My Creator knows what's best for me. He knows exactly what I need to do, what I don't need to do, what I need to refrain from doing. So, this chapter was very important over the last few months with, of course, the solar holidays, the sun worship holidays. Of course, it's masked with Christian veneers, and it's not a small problem. It's a huge problem. This literally is the elephant in the room. This is the majority of people's focus in lives. And that's what, again, I'm realizing, like, everyone keeps routines. Everyone celebrates things. Everyone has cycles or patterns they repeat. And so all Yahweh is doing is saying that, hey, the pattern that you repeat and the stuff that you do over and over every year, let it be the stuff that I tell you to do. Very key verse for me to wrap my mind around this. Paul in Romans 6 says, don't you know that who you obey is your master? And you're like, oh, wow. So who you obey shows your allegiance, basically. And then we see that, of course, all throughout the Torah, that when we keep, I found 7 distinct ones. Like, if you do this, I'm going to mark you. If you do this, I'm going to mark you. If you do this, I'm going to mark you. And then, of course, you see in the opposite sense, which we're going to actually read Revelation 13 a little bit later about the mark of the beast. and basically how he gets the whole world to obey him. So this is why for me and my house, we keep it simple. We want to do it the way he commanded it. And we've even recently have removed things like Hanukkah from our lives. And in no way am I saying this to now put you on the defense or make you feel a certain way. But it also is my duty and right to share why. And we're actually going to finish in chapter 12. We'll finish about Hanukkah, just some quick points of why we no longer do it. So, but let's go to the beginning, because this is also another elephant in the room. This has gained a lot of popularity in the believing in Messiah and we should keep the commandments community, and that's a very broad community with many different circles and lots of disagreements, of course, and things like that. But there's a growing movement that's like very aggressively like, whoa, what are you doing? Don't celebrate the feasts in a tainted land. What are you thinking? You're going to profane it. And so I'm looking at this is the basis of it, not to go to any other place but where Yahweh shall choose to put his name there. And so consider, a couple of key points. It doesn't say don't go, you have to go to Jerusalem that's located in the Mediterranean. It's actually not what it says. It says where he places his name, and that's a very key point that usually gets just run over and just left behind in the dust when that's a very important principle that needs to be assessed, that this is actually what he says. And we can't change what he says. He doesn't say, I'd already made that point, so I don't want to. But this had some effects on me early on in my childhood, growing up in Judaism, and obviously doing the Passover since I could remember as a child, and then just sitting there and be like, why is there just a bone? And of course, same thing. They can only do the Passover with the temple and all these different restrictions. So I think we're carrying on. And I say we. I think there's some teachings from Judaism that need to be removed out of our walk. So basically, everything's pertaining to physical worship, physical sacrifices. But if we didn't learn anything from Messiah and the apostles, especially these sacrifices are now spiritualized. And the text plainly says this: don't you know that you are the temple of God, the temple of Elohim, and that the Spirit of Elohim dwells in you? So is that like, I believe Paul is a legitimate apostle, but Messiah taught the same thing, I know not everyone believes that, but I believe Paul is a true apostle, just misunderstood, and I believe Yahweh made him write the way he wrote, just to be a tester. If you want to use Paul for disobedience, you can twist his words and do so. If you want to use Paul to promote the faith that we know, Romans is literally the most pro-Torah book you can ever read, if you read it with understanding and context. Let's go to 2 Corinthians 6:16. And what agreement has the temple of Elohim with idols? For you are the temple of the living Elohim. As Elohim said, I will dwell in them and walk in them, and will be their Elohim, and they shall be my people. I don't think I added this here, but let's just look at Revelation 14. Is it 1 through? This is maybe just 1. Oops. But real quick, John 14:23, Yahushua answered and said to them, if a man will love me, he will keep my word. So this is like really, really basic stuff. Like this is stuff that, teaching toddlers, this is very basic. Hey, if you love me, keep my words. My Father will love him. We will come to him and make our home. You can look at this Greek word. It means house, living space. We will live with him, literally. Revelation 14, 1 through 2. This is, of course, 144,000, but the Father's name written in their foreheads. So remember, the context of where we celebrate is where he places his name. Matthew 18:20, for where 2 or 3 are gathered together in my name. So consider, even if it's just like a little home fellowship, 2-3 families. Is he not there? Is his name not there? There I am in the midst of them. I believe he is. John 4:19 through 24, and so this is the defining point for me, because whether we can celebrate outside of Jerusalem and the temple, this is not a new debate. This has been debated for thousands of years. But the cool thing is that Messiah, if you take his words, at face value, even spiritually, I think he already answers this. This is the woman at the well. She's like, I think you're a prophet. Our fathers worshipped in this mountain, which is Samaria, or actually this is part of part of this week's Torah portion, Mount Ebal and Gerizim, or the blessing and curse was supposed to be spoken. And so she's like, our fathers worship in this mountain, and you say that in Jerusalem is the place where men ought or need to or must worship. So she's recognizing this. So yes, and during the time of like David and Solomon and those kings, yes, people had to go down there. That was the law. And so she's quoting that. She's like, isn't it in Jerusalem where men have to? And so Yahusha said, woman, believe me, the hour comes when you shall neither in this mountain, so Samaria, nor yet at Jerusalem worship the Father. So he's saying that there's a time coming where that is not important. You worship you know not what. We know what we worship for salvation of the Jews, but the hour comes and now is. So he says the hour is coming when the true worshipers shall worship the Father in spirit and truth, for the Father seeks such to worship him. And so this is a passage from the book of the Nazrim. This is, if you want more information on it, I have a whole playlist on it. Those of you that are waiting for me to finish it, I apologize when it's Yah's timing. I keep wanting to, but it's like I have to. Anyway, so I think we're like up to chapter 18 out of 22 chapters, so I think, or 17, so it's almost done. But this is the same passage, but from the perspective of the book of the Nazarene. Long story short, it's either understood that Joseph of Arimathea or Paul brought this up to the Celtic nations, which, if you look at history, the Celts were the ones that protected the feast days, the Sabbaths, the food laws, and resisted the papacy, at least the longest, before total breakdown. But this is apparently found in their writings. So it says, the Samaritan woman said to Yahusha, Master, I see that you're one of those special people who know all things. Now tell me, is it true what your people tell us, that we should worship in the temple at Jerusalem to reach the ear of Elohim, for he is only there and not at Mount Gerizim? Yahusha told her, be assured the time is coming when the place of worship is unimportant. For though your people worship without understanding the nature of worship, while the Yahudim worship with this knowledge, neither know the true nature of worship. The time is coming when all who understand the nature of worship will do so in Ruach, in the light of truth. And so that's kind of what I understand, is that where his people are today is where the temple of Yahweh is. And I think we'll read it in a little bit, that his people are living stones, built up a spiritual house to offer up spiritual sacrifices. So if we're doing the Sabbath in the spirit and giving him spiritual offerings, because the Sabbath requires physical sacrifices, right? It requires that. But if we're still doing the Sabbath and we're understanding those sacrifices to be in spiritual nature, well, we're doing the same thing with the feast days, right? And so if we're bringing these spiritual sacrifices, why are we still needing to go to that physical place, waiting to do physical sacrifices? So this is why we're spiritually doing the Sabbath now. I mean, physically, we're literally resting, right? But I'm talking about the slaughterings that was required. This is our time, this is our focus, this is our effort, this is the best we got, this is our songs, our dances, the best food we got, whatever. Like, this is what we do now. And no doubt we do it even more so on these feast days, which is a big part of this Torah portion. Like, hey, let me remind you again and again and again to do the Passover every year. And so people, they're like, no, I won't do it because it's the wrong land. I don't know if that's the right spirit. People talk about the letter of the law and the spirit of the law. Man, I think that cuts right to the very core of it. Like, what do you think is more important to Daddy? That it's in that land that's filled with thorns and briars right now and doing it there? Or to remember his son's sacrifice every year and honor him and bless him and to remember these shadows of things that are coming, these small parts of the bigger picture that's coming. So anyways, that's, again, for me and my house, that's why we do it. Also, another witness, the book of Tobit. Look at chapters 1 through 2, also in the Apocrypha and the Septuagint. Tobit, a righteous man who was visited by angels. Yah spoke to him. The angel spoke to him. I don't know if Yah spoke to him. So forgive me, don't misquote. Angel spoke to him. He prophesied, and he kept, at least on record, kept Shavuot in Assyria. Nineveh. Where was he? Yeah, Assyria. Okay, yeah, all right. Yeah, Nineveh. Okay, cool. So yeah, he was in Nineveh, and here's chapter 2. When I arrived at my home, Tobias restored to me at the Feast of Pentecost, right? And so he had a good dinner prepared for him. So he's observing Shavuot in dispersion in Nineveh. And so just wanted to make mention of that. So again, my family and I, we are led to do his feast days here in this land. Also, let's take a look at also just kind of an overall perspective of not worshiping him the way the nations do. There has to be some guardrails on that, because I've seen people take this so far. I mean, you see it, and people are like, oh, well, people worship Satan through music, and so therefore music is satanic. Now, of course, people have different degrees of that. They're like, oh, well, rock and roll type of genre, that's satanic, or dance music is satanic, or rap music is satanic. And it's like, wait, how can you make that distinction when there's plenty of satanic people that have folk music and contemporary music and soft music, and some people have even connected some classical music as satanic. And so it's like, how do you make that distinction? So, people have also been like, well, look at the Super Bowl. They sing and dance to their God, so we should stop singing and dancing. Like, how does that make sense? I think we have to make distinctions. It has to be, I think he's specifically talking about when you gather, like for what festival, and specifically what he requires. And I think that's what he's talking about. And so when we throw away his feast days, like the Passover and the Sukkot and all, and instead do like Christmas and Easter, I mean, that's, to me, is like literally exactly what he's talking about here, about not worshiping him the way that others do. Because, I mean, let's just get to it. Like, just, David worshipped him with the stringed instruments. Well, the evil line of Cain are the ones that were the first ones that invented the lyres and the lyres. Sorry, I know some people will take offense at the lyres and other instruments. And so David ended up using that. And no doubt that they worshiped themselves and Elohim with those instruments. So there has to be some guardrails on this. There are some extremes, in my opinion. Like, how far do you take it? Like, Church of Satan, they have a gathering. Does that mean we don't gather anymore? Because they gather. So obviously it can go to a complete ridiculous extreme end. So that's why we're looking at it like, okay, the festivals, and that's why, Hanukkah is out for us. Let's just get to that here. For many years, I quoted John 10. And be like, well, look, he was here. He was literally here at, let's see. Yeah, he's here at the Feast of Dedication, right? And what is he here? Like, hey, everyone, I'm here to celebrate with you. No, he literally he says, you are not my sheep. So he walks up there and says, now, is he addressing every single attendee there? No, obviously. So I can't get off the rails here as well. But nothing in his words shows me that he's complicit with this. And Hanukkah was a added tradition by the Maccabees. No doubt Yahweh used the Maccabees and they were delivered and a miracle was done. But at no time did Yahweh say, hey, now create a new feast day in honor of this. And so to me now, I'm really looking at it. I'm like, wait a minute. So Yahusha came to the Feast of Dedication and proclaimed, you're not my sheep, because his sheep hear his voice and I know them and they follow me. And so the reason this is brought up is because the last few months when people were going back and forth about Christmas observance, and I was listening to the people that were making a case that they were saying, not me, they were saying that it's okay to go back to Christmas because it's a harmless feast, and we're just observing his birthday. Like, what's the big deal? Hey, the Maccabees had a much smaller deal go on, and they got to add a feast. And so, if they can add a feast for the temple getting taken back over, why can't we have a feast for our Savior being born? Like, what's the big deal? And I was like, it's a fair point. It's actually a very fair point. And so it caused me to look back at Hanukkah, and I'm like, wait a minute, did he really confirm that Hanukkah's okay? No, not a single word. Now, he didn't come up and say, Hanukkah is bad, stop doing it. But literally, most of his ministry was stop doing man-made traditions. And so Hanukkah is a man-made tradition. The deliverance was true. The added celebration was added. So we're out. And so this is me, again, not condemning you. I'm only recently changed my mind on this. Only recently. Honestly, just over the last few months have I just disconnected. We haven't really celebrated it in many years, but we've honored it, remembered it. We've read the story of the Maccabees every year. Maybe we missed a year or two. I don't want to make a false statement, but we did our best to observe it, never having the kind of focus on it like the 7 feast days and the Shabbat. But it's like, hey, well, it's there. That maybe could have been remnant of my Jewish upbringing. Like, hey, Hanukkah's Hanukkah. You got to do Hanukkah. It was interesting too, just thinking of the effect of the man-made traditions. I remember when I was repenting and coming back to Yahweh, and what does He want me to do? I remember it was somewhere around like Hanukkah time, and I'm like, oh gosh, this is like day whatever it was of Hanukkah. I better get my thing up. I better put the candles up, in succession. And I'm just like, later on, I'm like, you were trying. Good try. Anyways, hopefully, obviously, He sees the heart of what we're trying to do. But again, as I'm growing in the Word and just reading it for what it says, and again, re-examining the own evidence that I used to use to promote Hanukkah, I'm like, wait, is this really evidence? No, it's not. And so, again, me and my house, we're out. We're out on Hanukkah. So I hate to rain on anyone's. You don't have probably a Hanukkah parade, but I'm not trying to. Raise up any strife or contention or everything. But again, just really, really taking a look at what Deuteronomy 12 is saying, and don't add to, don't take away. Okay, well, I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna do straight what you want. That's it, sir. That's what you want. I'm gonna give it to you. That's what you're gonna get. What exactly? And I'm sorry, I'm not being like rude and like forceful. Like, if that's what you want, that's what you're gonna get. No, like, hey, if that's what you want, that's how me and my house are gonna celebrate you. I trust that you've told us exactly what to do and what not to do. And I don't have to come up with fancy, elaborate this and that as to why I don't. All right. More temple stuff. Yeah, 1 Peter 2:5. You also, as lively or living stones, are built up a spiritual house. So it's like, me, I'm a stone, you're a stone, and we get put together. And so when we come together, it's like this. It's like this pretty cool, like, I don't mean, it's so like worldly, like a Lego set. Like, and we come together and we fit together. The pieces are supposed to fit together. What happens with a Lego piece when they don't fit together? Like, can that structure sit? No. And so, built up a spiritual house, a holy priesthood, to offer up spiritual sacrifices acceptable to Elohim by Yahushua HaMashiach. And that's what we do, even in this profane land that people call it. When we come together, when there's 10 of us, 5 of us, 500 of us, there He is. It's a house that, it's like Lego pieces that are being put together, and He's like, hey, I'm going to come in and dwell with you, right? Ephesians 2:19, now therefore you are no more strangers and foreigners, but fellow citizens with the saints and of the household of Elohim, and are built upon the foundation of the apostles and prophets, Yahushua the Messiah Himself being chief cornerstone, in whom all the building fitly framed together, right? That's that Lego talk. Grows into a holy temple in Yahweh, in whom you are also builded together for a habitation of Elohim through the Spirit. That's it. And that's also why I'm like, hey, you know what? Maybe this is the time we come together. Physically, that seems near impossible for many people, but is it really? Hebrews 13:14, for we have no continuing city, but we seek one to come. By Him, therefore, let us offer the sacrifice of praise to Elohim continually. That is the fruit of our lips, giving thanks to His name. So I don't see any precedence for the Sabbaths and the feast days stopping because we can't do it in the land. And again, people that are like, hey, you can only do it in Jerusalem are also doing the Sabbath and not recognizing the Sabbath has these same, has these physical slaughtering requirements as well that requires a physical temple. But either we made a switch from physical slaughterings to spiritual, or we didn't. And I believe we did. Now, people that would find fault in me preparing our own Passover lamb, well, that's a meal requirement. He's like, you need to cook lamb on the fire. Like, how do you do that without having lamb and putting on the fire? And so then I'm like, I can either have the corner store down the street do it for us, and maybe not do all the things that are required. We'll read that chapter, I think, 15 about not eating with the blood. So then I'm like, okay, well, it has to be processed the way you want it to be processed. And so yeah, we don't look at the Passover lamb as like a sacrifice like the others. That's just a meal requirement. So, all right. Oh, no, actually, there's blood here. I'm sorry. There's blood in this chapter. Yeah, only so he's like, hey, if you want to eat meat, eat meat. And I don't know that the KJV nor the Sephard really did this super justice, because this makes it seem like whatever your soul lasts after. So people are like, oh yeah, you like the Torah, huh? So is this saying that if I want some illicit drugs, if my soul lusts after that, can I have that? And that's not what it's talking about. First of all, it's talking about clean animals, and in our modern day language, it'd be more like whatever your heart desires. If you want to eat some beef, eat beef. You want venison? Hey, let's do a nice pot roast of some slow cooked venison, right, for our potluck, our oneg meal at the feast day tonight. But yeah, and so he's like, hey, you can do all that, but only be sure that you eat not the blood. So making sure it's drained properly, slaughtered properly. Also, this chapter and many other chapters is why I know that it's okay for me to eat meat. Recently, there's been a pretty big departing of people from, in my opinion, the way, that have basically had to conclude because of their disdain for meat and a lot of new agey influence and other false religion influences that don't like the slaughtering of animals and are rightly exposing commercialized meat processes that are I don't know, inhumane or unbiblical, we'll say that, and are harsh, and also taint the meat when they don't slaughter it in a biblical way, that what it's supposed to be slaughtered, when they shock them, shoot them, all these different things. If it's not done the way Yahweh intended, there's going to be all sorts of things that are gone haywire there. But basically, people have concluded that Jesus came to do away with meat eating, and that was the big conspiracy, that there's this big cover-up that he hates meat eating, and people have penned, all the lying scribes and the Pharisees, the big conspiracy they hid was that he hates meat eating. And there's definitely times where he was upset with the children of Israel, like with the quail, when they're just like, my meat, like, and it's coming out of their ears and nostrils, and like, meat, He's like, you guys are crazy, like, they're already like cursing him while the food was still in their mouth, right? That's different. There's literally chapters that are like, hey, you can eat meat. These are the guardrails, which we'll read in chapter 14. Eat these, don't eat these. But it's chapters like this and others that I'm like, no, I know I can eat meat. He just has some parameters, like, hey, drain the blood, don't eat the blood. And that may seem uncommon for a lot of us Northern America. Maybe Canada's different. America's different. Eating or consuming blood in our food is actually pretty uncommon. It's very common actually in Europe, Asia, countries like this. It's in a lot of things. It's in soups. It's in sausages. It is not for the children of Israel. It's in a lot of cultures, the people gain strength by eating the blood. There's probably something to it. It's probably also why it's been a while since I've done this research, and I don't even recommend it. There was a short time where I researched the dark things of this world and what people are doing, and I'm like, you know what? This is enough. I've learned enough. I don't want to know any more about your rituals and whatnot. But it's pretty common that they consume blood, and I just wonder. If it does strengthen them, I wonder why some of these elite, a lot of them just live in their 90s, 100s, and way past. They're probably preserving their fleshy life through these wicked means that are destroying their soul. It's probably why their souls are very cantankerous and are set on evil and set on destroying man as like a plague. And there's this itch in his heart that he can't satisfy with anything other than killing and pillaging and anyways, but don't let anyone take you off the path. You can eat meat. Matter of fact, I'm a witness that my health has increased alongside of other things. I give Yahweh glory first and foremost for beginning my healing process of a thing I've dealt with called CRPS type 2 for many of my years, but healing me with that, better diet, more regimented diet, but consuming more meat and less carbs, specifically less sugar, like a lot less sugar. My sugar intake has greatly reduced. Now, I still have honey and syrup and other things, so I'm not completely free of sweet items in my life. I've learned that a real diet is something you can live with long term. So having a completely restrictive diet that you get tired of after 2 months just doesn't work. But anyways, the point is that I've found a lot of strength in eating more meat than refined carbs, refined foods in general, and carbs and sugars. So anyways, also, you can look at it yourself. People believe that they have to cook their steak well done in order to remove the blood. You can look it up for yourself. It's called myoglobin. From my understanding, myoglobin is not blood. You can do your own research. I'm not huge on rare steaks or, but I also don't believe that if I have my steak, I'm like a medium to medium well guy myself. But nevertheless, just having like pink in your steak doesn't mean you're eating blood. That's just my opinion. Do your own research. Of course, we're all supposed to work out our salvation in fear and trembling, especially on these little nuances. But yeah, I've come to the conclusion that it's not. Some people would bring up scripture about having to put water, sod it in water, or boil it, if you will, which was very common in our language. That's pot roast, that's slow roasting, soups. But if that's the case, if meat had to go through that process, I believe we're adding to the word, because then the commandment to grill the lamb for Passover would be a once in a year, I'll let my Torah slide. That doesn't work for me with the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. He wouldn't allow that, and so that lets me know that food can be cooked that way on the grill, if you will. And that's what the altar was. It was a big barbecue thing. Sometimes it was completely burnt to a crisp, and sometimes not. Okay, just don't eat the blood. Point taken, right? So I think we're done with 12, and so yeah, I've just concluded that in some point at that obeying other Elohim is limited to offering your children as a sacrifice. This is just the extreme. There's everything in between. I mean, in Jeremiah's day, they were guilty of making cakes to the Queen of Heaven. That's not quite offering your child as sacrifice. In their eyes, it was a very simple thing, but also that was enough. That was like one of the icings on the cake for Yahweh to be like, out of my house. All right, let's go to Deuteronomy 13, really important chapter. We need to know what's going on here.
Debarim, Deuteronomy, chapter 13. If there arise among you a prophet, or a dreamer of dreams, and gives you a sign or a wonder, and the sign or wonder come to pass, whereof he spoke unto you, saying, Let us go after other Elohim, which you have not known, and let us serve them. You shall not hearken unto the words of that prophet, or that dreamer of dreams. For Yahweh Elohim proves you, to know whether ye love Yahweh Elohim with all your heart and with all your soul. Ye shall walk after Yahweh Elohim, and fear him, and guard his commandments, and obey his voice, and ye shall serve him, and cleave unto him. And that prophet, or that dreamer of dreams, shall be put to death, because he has spoken to turn you away from Yahweh Elohim, which brought you out of the land of Mitzrayim, and redeemed you out of the house of bondage, to thrust you out of the way which Yahweh Elohim commanded you to walk in. So shall you put the evil away from the midst of you. If your brother, the son of your mother, or your son, or your daughter, or the woman of your bosom, or your friend, which is as your own soul, entice you secretly, saying, Let us go and serve other Elohim, which you have not known, you nor your fathers, namely, of the Elohim of the people which are round about you, nigh unto you, or far off from you, from the one end of the earth even unto the other end of the earth. You shall not consent unto him, nor hearken unto him, neither shall your eye pity him, neither shall you spare, neither shall you conceal him. But you shall surely kill him. Your hand shall be first upon him to put him to death, and afterwards the hand of all the people. And you shall stone him with stones that he die, because he has sought to thrust you away from Yahweh Elohim, which brought you out of the land of Mitzrayim, from the house of bondage. And all Yashrael shall hear and fear, and shall do no more such any wickedness as this thing among you. If you shall hear say in one of your cities, which Yahweh Elohika has given you to dwell there, saying, certain men, the children of Belial, are gone out from among you, and have withdrawn the inhabitants of their city, saying, let us go and serve other Elohim which ye have not known. Then shall you inquire, and make search, and ask diligently. And, behold, if it be truth, and the thing certain, that such abomination is wrought among you, you shall surely smite the inhabitants of that city with the edge of the sword, destroying it utterly, and all that is therein, and the cattle thereof with the edge of the sword. And you shall gather all the spoil of it into the midst of the street thereof, and shall burn with fire the city, and all the spoil thereof to every whit for Yahweh Elohika. And it shall be a heap forever, it shall not be built again. And there shall cleave not of the cursed thing in your hand, that Yahweh may turn from the fierceness of his anger, and show you mercy, and have compassion upon you, and multiply you, as he has sworn unto your fathers, when you shall hearken to the voice of Yahweh Elohika, to guard all his commandments, which I command you this day, to do that which is right in the eyes of Yahweh Elohika.
Okay, so key passage here, and it just really stuck out to me. It says he's going to prove us. Where is it at? Anyways, it says he's doing this to prove him, to test us. Did I just see that? I'm sorry, y'all. Yeah, okay. Oh, verse 3. Okay, yeah. Some of you are like, it's right there, Adam. You shall not hearken unto the words of that prophet or that dreamer of dreams, for Yahweh Elohim proves you, like tests you. He's like, hey, are you gonna get mad at him for that? You know, or you're gonna or be like, oh man, or are you gonna tighten up? That he's like, hey, you know what? I want to see what you're gonna do, son. Like, are you gonna get fooled like Adam and Eve? Are you gonna get fooled like many people before us? Or are you gonna be like, no, I'm going to keep the words of Yahweh my Elohim regardless. And so consider that it's in the power of these false prophets to actually have signs, wonders, you know? And so it's like, man, like, then how do you know? Like, would you know? Like, well, you know, what if someone just comes in like casting down fire and like, hey, listen to me, I'm a prophet. We're supposed to do this. And, you know, everyone like, oh, wow, cool. Well, what if they're like, hey, let's do things contrary to the Torah, and we should be rooted, grounded people? They're like, no. In a similar way, this is like, to really simplify this chapter, it's almost like when we were told as children, like, hey, if someone pulls up and is like, hey, I've got candy in the car, come on in. Or, hey, your mom said that I should pick you up today. Come on in and get in the car with me and I'll take you to them. You are taught to be like, no, I will not go with you. I've been trained on this very matter. I will not hearken unto your voice. So in a similar way, this is like a much grander test with much greater, the implications of the other one is pretty bad too. But we have to be able to test prophets, even ones that can bring signs. And that's like the extreme. Well, what about if he's just fancy in speech? That's not a sign. That's even easier to accomplish than a sign. So he's giving us the extreme. You know, very abundantly today, people have dreams, and, you know, dreams are either from Yah or they're not. And we have to be able to test them. Like if someone's like, hey, I had a dream, we should be able to test. And so a couple of key chapters in the scriptures about prophets and false prophets. So Ezekiel 13, it says, and the word of Yahweh came unto me, saying, Son of man, prophesy against the prophets of Israel that prophesy, and say unto them that prophesy out of their own hearts, hear ye the word of Yahweh. Thus says Yahweh Elohim, woe unto the foolish prophets that follow their own spirit, and have seen nothing. O Israel, your prophets are like the foxes in the deserts. Right? They're like treacherous, they're sneaky. You have not gone up into the gaps, neither have made up the hedge for the house of Israel to stand in the battle in the day of Yahweh. No, in a very opposite context, Jeremiah was spoken as a defense city, as a strong wall for the people, and his whole message was to get them to come back to the Torah. They have seen vanity and lying divination, saying, Yahweh has said, and Yahweh has not sent them, and they have made others to hope that they would confirm this word. So it's like they're like false prophecy, and people are like, oh yeah, let it be so, oh yeah. Have you not seen a vain vision? And have you not spoken a lying divination? Whereas you say, Yahweh has said it, albeit I have not spoken. Therefore, thus says Yahweh Elohim, because you have spoken vanity, seen lies, therefore, behold, I am against you, says Yahweh Elohim. And my hand shall be upon the prophets that see vanity, that divine lies. They shall not be in the assembly of my people, neither shall they be written in the writing of the house of Israel, neither shall they enter into the land of Israel, and ye shall know that I am Yahweh Elohim. Even because they have seduced my people, saying, oh, peace, oh, it'll be well with you. Oh, it'll be well with you. And there's no peace. And one built up a wall, and lo, look, others daubed it with untempered mortar. So it's like they built this like little flimsy wall, and they're putting like plaster on it. They're like, hey, this is going to hold. Say unto them which daub it with untempered mortar, that it shall fall. There shall be an overflowing shower, and you, O great hailstones, shall fall, and a stormy wind shall rend it. Matter of fact, this reminds me of Isaiah 28. If I can remember, we'll read this afterwards. I don't have this in the notes, but that just reminded me of something. So these people that have this false wall, these false prophets that have false dreams, that see vanity and, oh, peace, peace, it's going to fall. And there's going to be this great hailstones, stormy wind shall rend it. It reminds me of the drunkards of Ephraim as well. We'll talk about that, I guess, after this in Jeremiah 23. So look, when the wall is fallen, shall it not be said unto you, where is the daubing wherewith you've daubed it? Like, where's that protection we were promised? Therefore, thus says Yahweh Elohim, I will even rend it with a stormy wind in my fury, and there shall be an overflowing shower in my anger, and great hailstones in my fury to consume it. So will I break down the wall that you have daubed with untempered mortar, and bring it down to the ground, so that the foundation thereof shall be discovered, and it shall fall, and you shall be consumed in the middle thereof, and shall know that I am Yahweh. So it's not going to stand, right? It's this. And what does it sound like? And consider, I'm not mocking Christians. I'm not mocking souls that are in churches right now that want to actually serve the master and don't know how to. I'm talking about this system that is churning out people and churning out Romans and churning out people that are obeying decrees of man and ultimately of devils rather than Yahweh. But there's this understanding that you just believe in Jesus and that's it. Now, of course, there's different degrees, like, well, you should do this and you can't be drinking and smoking and, well, you can't be this and that, all these different things. But it's like there's no call to keeping the Torah, which Yahushua did over and over again. And so this like rapture, we're going to be saved. Don't worry, we're all going to be saved in the rapture or whatever. There's a lot of people, of course, that they're going to be like, where was this wall that you built up? Thus will I accomplish my wrath upon the wall. And this is why we have to reach the people. This is why we have to be willing vessels. Now, the master won't lose one as his, but it's our job and our requirement to give him every ounce of effort that we can be usable vessels and put forward the message out there. And upon them that have daubed it with untempered mortar, and will say unto you, the wall is no more, neither they that daubed it. To wit, the prophets of Israel, which prophesy concerning Jerusalem, and which see visions of peace for her. So just imagine if Jerusalem could be spoken of in a spiritual sense about the body of Christ. Right? So the prophets of the body of Christ, and which see visions of peace for her. And there's no peace, says Yahweh. Likewise, Son of Man, set thy face against the daughters of thy people, which prophesy out of their own heart, and prophesy thou against them. When I said against the body of Christ, now, of course, I believe there is a legitimate body of Mashiach that will be protected. I'm talking about people that just claim to be followers of Messiah and don't keep any of his ways, or don't keep his ways. I can't say any, right? Because even some in Christianity keep a good portion of it. But the ones that he keeps repeating over and over again that do matter, they're being trodden underfoot. And say, thus says Yahweh, woe to the women that sew pillows to all armholes and make kerchiefs upon every head of stature to hunt souls. Will you hunt the souls of my people, and will you save the souls alive that come unto you? And will you pollute me among my people for handfuls of barley and for pieces of bread? So they're literally saying like they have the answers, and they're leading people, but they're leading them astray. And for what? For money. To slay the souls that should not die. So this is the false shepherds leading people astray to death, and to save the souls alive that should not live by your lying to my people and that hear your lies. And what's the elephant in the room? I mean, even in Judaism, the rabbis, it's this money cycle that's like, that gives this ease of, it's like, if I can oversimplify a statement that would cover a majority of Judaism, is like, hey, you should keep the commandments, but if you don't, you're Jews, you're the seed of Abraham. He's not gonna forsake you, And this is why these are the false walls. And it's like, again, telling a new convert that's seeking salvation that all you have to do is believe that he died on the cross and that he's your Savior, and invite him in your heart, and no obligation to obedience to the Torah is setting someone on for a course of death. Either we believe the entire word says that, or we believe that Yahusha did come to change it all around and to do away with the law because they kept breaking it. And so now just get the law out of the way so that they don't break it anymore. That doesn't make any sense to me. So your kerchiefs, all your fake stuff, will I tear and deliver my people out of your hand, and they shall be no more in your hand to be hunted, and you shall know that I am Yahweh. Because with your lies, so false doctrines, in Jeremiah 23, it puts an emphasis on dreams, and Isaiah 28 puts an emphasis on drunkards, wine, false doctrine. Because your false doctrine, you have made the heart of the righteous sad, whom I have not made sad, and strengthened the hands of the wicked, that he should not return from his wicked way, by promising him life. So they're like, hey, you will have eternal life, and you don't have to keep the Torah. That's what this is saying. Therefore you shall see no more vanity, nor divine divinations, for I will deliver my people out of your hand, and you shall know that I am Yahweh. Let's go to Jeremiah 23:15. Just cut straight to it. Therefore, thus says Yahweh of hosts concerning the prophets, behold, I will feed them with wormwood, and make them drink the water of gall. This is Book of Revelation stuff. For from the prophets of Jerusalem is profaneness gone forth into all the land. So consider, again, if this is like the false body of Christ representing as representatives of Messiah, which would be Christianity, and the head of that is either Roman Catholicism or its love child, which would be American Protestantism, evangelical Christian nationalist. So from this people is profaneness gone forth into all land. And this is why he's going to have every man, rich and free, we'll read it later, of course, free and bond, to all receive his mark. They're all gonna fall in line, because it's going to be under the guise of Christianity. There is going to be some sort of appearance, and people are all going to flock to it. There's going to be miracles, but the only way to tell a difference is by the doctrine, and you'll see that. And then Messiah is going to reinforce that with a parable. So thus says Yahweh of hosts, hearken not unto the words of the prophets that prophesy unto you. They make you vain. They speak a vision of their own heart, and not out of the mouth of Yahweh. They say still to them that despise me, which this is classified as those who break his Torah. Exodus 20 tells us that those who don't keep his commandments hate him. Those that do love him. So they say to commandment breakers, Yahweh has said, you shall have peace, right? You're going to be fine. And they say unto everyone that walks after the imagination of his own heart, which is another way to say the same thing right here. This is from Deuteronomy 29. This talks about commandment breakers in a way of someone who walks after the imagination of his own heart, right? He'll bless himself and say, I'll be fine. No evil shall come upon you. And so this is what the false people are saying. Like, hey, even though you don't keep the Torah, you are good. You will go in the rapture. You will be saved. You will have eternal life. And they're lying to them. They're deceiving them. They're sending them into hell. It's sick and twisted like Pharaoh all over again, right? As soon as the children of Israel were born, they were thrown into the water to be drowned and died. Well, what are they doing? Hey, salvation. As soon as you're born spiritually, I'm going to throw you right into the most difficult to understand scriptures and tell you that those are the only scriptures that apply to you, aka Paul's words. And since they don't have a foundation of the Torah, and they aren't even routinely told to look at Messiah's words, because we're living in a day where they've chopped the word up so much they say that even Messiah's words are for the Jews because it's before the cross, and then after the cross, then he turns to the church, and it's a different set of rules. It's just confusion and man-made traditions, and it's vanity. And so as soon as they're spiritually born, they're thrown in, and they're sent to their death in a spiritual way. And that's what's going on by the billions. Billions. This is why it's important. This is why I have to speak up against it. And this is why we can never hold our peace day and night until he makes Jerusalem a praise in the earth. So now he's asking for who has stood in the counsel of Yahweh and has perceived and heard his words, who has marked his word and heard it. Behold, a whirlwind of Yahweh is gone forth in fury. This ties into Isaiah 28. We're going to read in a little bit. Kind of what that I'll see in Ezekiel 13. So behold, a whirlwind of Yahweh is gone forth in fury, even a grievous whirlwind. It shall fall grievously upon the head of the wicked. The anger of Yahweh shall not return until he has executed, until he has performed the thoughts of his heart. In the latter days you shall consider it perfectly. We're starting to, Yahweh. I have not sent these prophets, yet they ran. I have not spoken to them, yet they prophesied. But if they had stood in my counsel, which is reading his word. I mean, we have no excuse in our day. It's right here in front of us in different translations. Literally, could someone really stand before the throne and be like, I didn't know? There's like every opportunity to open this book. And even people that have gotten preached the false doctrine of faith without obedience, if they even love Jesus and just open up the gospel accounts and actually read his word, they would see. But that, again, this goes back to the false shepherds, who the sheep are simply going to the shepherds to be fed as they should, and are getting fed false doctrine. So if they had stood in my counsel and has caused my people to hear my words, then they should have turned from their evil way and from their evil doings. Am I an Elohim at hand, says Yahweh, and not an Elohim afar off? Can any hide himself in secret places that I shall not see him, says Yahweh? Do not I fill heaven and earth, says Yahweh? I have heard what the prophets said, that prophesy lies in my name, saying, I have dreamed. I have dreamed. How long shall this be in the hearts of the prophets that prophesy lies? Yea, they're prophets of their own deceit of their own heart, which think to cause my people to forget my name. This is his Torah. This is his spirit. This is his truth. This is the caring for the weak. This is the meekness. This is the whole package, which think to cause my people to forget my name, my ways, by their dreams, which they tell every man to his neighbor, as their fathers have forgotten my name for Baal. The prophet that has a dream, let him tell a dream. And he that has my word, let him speak my word faithfully. What is the chaff to the wheat, says Yahweh? Is not my word like a fire, says Yahweh, and like a hammer that breaks the rocks in pieces? Therefore, behold, I am against the prophets, says Yahweh, that steal my words, every one from his neighbor. Behold, I am against the prophets, says Yahweh, that use their tongues and say, he says. Behold, I am against them that prophesy false dreams, says Yahweh, and do tell them, and cause my people to err by their lies and by their lightness. Yet I sent them not, nor commanded them. Therefore they shall not profit this people at all, says Yahweh. And when this people, the prophet or a priest, shall ask thee, saying, what is the burden of Yahweh? You shall say to them, what burden? I will even forsake you, says Yahweh. It's hard times. So Isaiah 28, I was thinking about this storm that was destroying that wall and this whirlwind, and we saw the same thing. So this is another version, in my opinion, of seeing the same thing of a great nation who's living on the head of the fat valleys. I can't think of anything other than America that's leading the rest of the world astray and will continue to. And by domineering and by force and by the backing of the dragon, the devil, they're going to gather up the whole world and lose their own soul in the process. Woe to the crown of pride, to the drunkards of Ephraim, whose glorious beauty is a fading flower, which are on the head of the fat valleys of them that are overcome with wine. So this is the chiefest of the nations, And this is like wine factories. This is doctrine factories. Behold, Yahweh has a mighty and a strong one, which is as a tempest of hail and a destroying storm, and as a flood of mighty waters overflowing shall cast down to the earth with the hand. The crown of pride, the drunkards of Ephraim, shall be trodden under feet. And the glorious beauty which is on the head of the fat valley shall be as a fading flower, and as the hasty fruit before the summer, which when he that looks upon it sees, and while it is yet in his hand, eats it up. In that day shall Yahweh of hosts be for a crown of glory, and for a diadem of beauty unto the residue of his people. And that's another word for a small remnant. And for a spirit of judgment to him that sits in judgment, and for strength to them that turn the battle back to the gate. They have also erred through wine, through strong drink, and they're out of the way. The priest and the prophet have erred through strong drink. This is doctrine, right? They are swallowed up of false doctrine. They are out of the way, no doubt, of the Torah through strong drink, false doctrine. They err in vision. They stumble in judgment. For all tables are full of vomit and filthiness, so that there is no place clean. Anyways, he goes on to say, I was trying to teach you, right, the refreshing, the knowledge. It's his word, precept upon precept. And so here's this false deliverance rapture doctrine, and it's not just limited to the rapture doctrine, but basically just believe in Jesus and you're fine. It says, because we have said we have made a covenant with death, and with hell we are in agreement. When the overflowing scourge shall pass through, it shall not come to us, for we have made lies our refuge, and under falsehood have we hid ourselves. Therefore thus says Yahweh, behold, I lay in Zion for a foundation stone, a tried stone, a precious cornerstone, a sure foundation, and he that believes shall not make haste. And we'll stop there, because otherwise I'll just keep reading the entire chapter, or probably the entire book. So it's like, all right, and Yahweh will test us. There's a story in the book of Kings about a prophet. I don't want to misquote his name. Sent, and he prophesied. But one of the things that he was told was, hey, when you go to Jerusalem, or where did he go, Samaria? Can't remember. Forgive me. I can't remember if he went to the northern kingdom or the southern. I think he went to the northern. Either way, it's like, don't eat any food while you're there. All right, just go there, do your thing, come back. Then you can eat. And so he did his thing, delivered the message, and then on the way back, a maybe seemingly jealous other prophet was like, hey, so I heard you're a prophet. So am I. Check it out. So, Yah said, come down and sit and eat. No, I'm not supposed to. Yahweh said not. No. Yahweh came to me. He said, you should eat. Sit down and eat. Let's talk. Oh, okay. Dead. Let's learn from that lesson. He can even use us as prophets, and yet we disobey what he told us to do by sending a false prophet. And it, also with King Ahab, there was like divine council, but a council, and Yahweh was like, who shall go to Ahab and to deceive him, or I can't remember. And one came up and says, I will. And he's like, how? Well, I will be a lying prophet in all the ears of his prophets. He's like, go. So he says he means what he says, right? I am proving you. I'm going to test you. And I respect him for that. Thank you for testing me, proving me. And David even says, check my heart, test it, see what's in it. And if there's anything, let me know. I'm paraphrasing, but that's the kind of people we should be. Let me know. I want to do what pleases you, sir. Let's take a look at so Revelation 13. I beheld verse 11. I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had two horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon, and he exercises all the power of the first beast before him. I believe this is America. I believe appearing as should be a lamb, but yet speaking as a dragon. His actions are dragon-like, and I believe this country is ruled by the dragon. I believe, yeah. Anyways, and he exercises all the power of the first beast before him, and causes the earth and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed. This is like a regathering back to the Catholic Church, and I think with the addition of the American Pope, and you look at the amount of leadership that is Roman Catholic, I think it's completely poised to, 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 I think it's complet revive the Roman Empire, which, I mean, essentially it already is. It's just really, it's time for it to be fully blossom. And not blossom in a good way, of course, but blossom to its maturity and for its iniquity to be at its fullest, for Yahweh to come and act and do his thing. So exercises all the power of the first beast before him, caused the earth and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed. And he does great wonders, so that he makes fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men. And he deceives them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth that they should make an image to the beast, which had the wound by a sword and did live. And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, and the image of the beast should both speak and cause as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. So this is going to be a forceful takeover as well. So he's obviously going to deceive the majority, but the ones that are like resisting, they're going to be killed. And that's why you have this in Revelation 14, that you have this, of course, the Lamb there with his people. You have the first fruits that are there, but then there's a whole bunch of other people still on the earth saying, hey, give glory to Yah, his judgment has come. And then there's another angel saying, hey, Babylon has fallen, that great city, because she made all nations drink of the wine of her fornication. Like, hey, look at Jerusalem, it's destroyed. And then a third angel saying with a loud voice, if any man worship the beast in his image and receive his mark in his forehead and on his hand, the same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of Elohim. So basically, it's like there's already been this like monumentous event. You have the Lamb here, you have his people sitting there rejoicing with songs. People see that, and then you have this message that goes forth that's like, hey, resist the beast. And so here they are, and cause as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. So there is going to be a resistance. So just because you're sharing the truth and people aren't catching on now, they may need to see some things, and that may be why they have to give up their life, and that's why they're not hanging out with Yahusha on Mount Zion. But there's still hope, in my opinion. I can't speak for the master here, but Revelation 20 does say that those who do resist, and those that I saw the thrones, and they that sat upon them, and judgment was given unto them. And I saw the souls of them that were beheaded for the witness of Yahusha and for the word of Elohim, which had not worshipped the beast, neither his image, neither had received his mark upon their foreheads or in their hands, and they lived and reigned with Christ 1,000 years. So maybe, I don't know exactly what Yahweh does there, but it seems like a kind of a second chance opportunity. Maybe they won't be kings and priests. Maybe they'll just be inhabitants, but how can any of us be like, oh man, we get in, but we're not, rulers in that land. Like, I mean, we should have the, mindset. It's like, hey, I'd rather be a doorkeeper in the house of my Yah than to dwell in the tents of wickedness. Like, I want to in, sir. But nevertheless, I want to strive for greatness. I hope that's not a bad thing. And I would like to rule and reign with Messiah for 1,000 years. Actually, I did say those people ruled and reigned too. So anyways, what do I know? I just know that we're supposed to keep his commandments. Hallelujah. Let's take a look at... Oh, did we even finish this? Yeah, that no man might buy or sell, say he that had the mark or the name of the beast. And of course, we see that obedience to the beast, you get a mark in your hand and forehead, just like we see with obedience in the opposite way to Yahweh, we're marked. So really, people are sifted into two camps, ultimately. You're going to end up falling into one of two camps. And the camps is either obedience or not obedience, and that is the litmus test, if you will. That's how you can test. Matthew 24:22 through 24. It says, except those days should be shortened, there should no flesh be saved, but for the elect's sake, those days shall be shortened. Then, if any man shall say to you, lo, here's Christ, or there, believe it not. For there shall arise false messiahs, false prophets, and shall show great signs and wonders, insomuch that if it were possible, they shall deceive the very elect. So maybe there are people that are literally just casting demons out of people on the streets, and people are like, wow, we'll follow you, and they follow them down the wrong road. That's the test here. So it's like, again, how do we know? 2 Peter 2. But there are false prophets also among the people, even as there shall be false teachers among you, who privily or secretly shall bring in damnable heresies. And I've seen people work like this. What they'll do, they will, like a wolf does, will section off people at a time. They'll typically go for maybe people who are a little less knowledgeable in the word, or maybe weaker in some ways, or more soft-hearted, or just maybe, or in their perception, more easily swayable, and they'll gain one and one by one until they have a mass, and then they'll come in. And it's happened in this fellowship even a couple times, just people come in and like, oh, hey, hi. And then secretly, but, like, oh, yeah, don't want to follow, you don't want to follow this guy. He still does evening to evening. And, the righteous, the children of light, they do morning to morning. And the children of darkness, they do evening to evening. And literally led people out of the assembly in ways like that. And I'm not saying that people that teach morning to morning are false prophets. What I'm saying is, like, that's a small example of how section off people, drive wedges, separate, and destroy. That's what happens. So privily, secretly bringing in damnable heresies, even denying the master that bought them, and bring upon themselves swift destruction. This is fall of 23, right after Sukkot, going into the winter season. You had one person bring in this anti-Messiah doctrine, and within like a week and a half, you've got 11 households gone out of the fellowship, like insta anti-Messiah, and it's just like, wow. And it was done secretly, little whispers in the corners, private phone conversations. And many shall follow their pernicious ways, by reason of whom the way of truth shall be evil spoken of. I mean, like, how many onlookers are looking at people that come into Torah, get all unfruitful, start screaming and yelling about how everyone that's vaccinated has the mark of the beast and is unredeemable and is an amalgamation and reptiles rule the world, and then like a year later they're like out of it and into New Age. What is that person's lasting impression of Yahweh, the Torah? Like, what is it really? So that's just an example of by reason of whom the way of the truth shall be spoken of. And through covetousness they shall with vain words make merchandise of you, whose judgment now of a long time lingers not, and their damnation slumbers not. Down in verse 10, but chiefly them that walk after the flesh in the lust of uncleanness, that despise government. I got to tell you, this is something that I've noticed over and over again with people that lead Yahweh's people astray. They hate the government. And listen, I'm not a fan of the doings of this country, and we don't really need to get into it. But to despise government or to be willfully disobedient to its government, to the government, is not what Yahushua taught us. Matter of fact, he was submissive, told to pay taxes. His earthly mother and father, they hearkened to Caesar's decree to do the census. They could have been like, I'm Yasharel, I don't hearken to the government. So these are people that are rebellious in nature. They're like, anyways, it's like you can't even keep the laws of this land. It's like, anyways, so presumptuous are they, self-willed. They're not afraid to speak evil of dignities. Verse 18, for when they speak great swelling words of vanity, they allure through the lust of the flesh. And this has been the biggest thing, because I mentioned earlier, he gave you the extreme, like, hey, he can give you a sign. And you'd be like, whoa, a sign. And he's like, hey, even if you get that, if he's telling you to get away from the Torah, don't listen. And so I've seen with my own eyes and my own ears, sometimes these false prophets are the greatest speakers, and that's, you see, and that's not a new concept, because even in like the criminal world, investigators freely admit that some of the worst criminals are the most intelligent. They use their intelligence. Intelligence can be used for good or for evil. Strength can be used for good or for evil. Wealth can be used for good or for evil. But nevertheless, being fair of speech and wise in speech, being crafty in speech, is something I've seen, that people that lead people away from the truth have also been very good at speech, very convincing. And yeah. So through much wantonness, those that were clean escaped from them who live in error. While they promise them freedom, they themselves are the servants of corruption. For of whom a man is overcome, the same is brought into bondage. And ultimately, let's look at Messiah's warning. He talks about being able to look at the fruit. So like, if a man is a plant, what demonstrable fruit can I see on you? Who do you obey? What kind of life do you live? And then what about, like, even character should be assessed as well. Is there apparent love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, gentleness, long-suffering? But it has to be both, because you can, like look at a monk that lives on a mountaintop by himself, that doesn't have to work or labor with his hands or toil, and yet gets fed by people. And like, maybe he has some peace. I guess there might be some peace with that, with like, what a cool life I live. Just sitting here, quiet, no screaming babies, no past due bills, rent isn't due, all right, the electric bill isn't due, I don't have to till the ground, I don't have to reap, I don't have to harvest, I don't have to do dirty diapers, I don't have to sweep the floor, I don't have to vacuum, I don't have to wash windows, whatever, the list goes on. I guess I'd have a little peace too, you know? Show me some peace while doing all those other things too. Then come talk to me, right? So that's a little sassy, forgive me, but that's why it's got to be both. It's got to be, because there's a lot of people that appearance on the outside, especially if you look at their small segmented, fragmented lives on social media, they look really joyful and shalom filled. And what about the rest of the time? What about the other demonstrable fruit, the obedience? And so beware of false prophets. So now Messiah is going to help us identify them a little more, which come to you in sheep's clothing. Okay, so they're going to look like us, but inwardly they're ravening wolves. So what's inside, which it'll come out in their words, because we know what's in the heart proceeds forth out of the mouth, and actions. So you shall know them by their fruits. So by the spirit and truth that they live, what they obey. Do they obey Yahweh or they obey man? And do they have love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, long-suffering, self-control, and which really, really cut to my heart when I was in Africa. I'm sitting here like I'm trying to tell people to live a better lives, but it's very apparent that there was not self-control in my life because I was easily 40 pounds overweight with a nice little tummy. And so in a similar way, they should correctly be able to look at me and be like, wait a minute, you want to tell me how to live my life, yet you don't have self-control about your eating and your habits of your life? I'm questioning you, and rightly so. But this is why we need to be whole and complete people. You shall know them by their fruits. Do men gather grapes of thorns or figs of thistles? Even so, every good tree brings forth good fruit, but a corrupt tree brings forth evil fruit. A good tree cannot bring forth evil fruit, neither can a corrupt tree bring forth good fruit. Every tree that brings not forth good fruit is cut down and cast in the fire. And in my opinion, the two basic measure of this is spirit and truth. That's what he wants. Wherefore by their fruits you shall know them. Not everyone that says to me, Lord, Lord, shall enter the kingdom of heaven, but he that does the will of my Father which is in heaven. So it just so happens he goes right into a Torah-keeping principle right after explaining the fruits. And, also from a very, very basic sense, from a spiritual sense, the man that delights in the Torah and meditates on it day and night shall be like a tree planted by the rivers of water that brings forth his fruit in the season. So this is a very literal and spiritual parable here. His leaf shall not wither, and whatever he does shall prosper. So Zephaniah 3:1-4, woe to her that has filthy and polluted the oppressing city. She obeyed not the voice. She received not correction. She trusted not in Yahweh. She drew not near to her Elohim. Her princes within her are roaring lions. Her judges are evening wolves. They gnaw not the bones to the marrow. And so we're looking at the difference between looking at basically a wolf in sheep's clothing. So inwardly they're ravening wolves. So now we're looking at a prophetic passage that lets us know what a roaring wolf looks like. They gnaw not the bones to the marrow. Her prophets are light and treacherous persons. Her priests have polluted the sanctuary. They have done violence to the law. It's like we come to the same conclusion over and over and over. And so this is why ultimately he also says that he gives us this warning that we have to put him first. He's like, even if your brother, the son of your mother, your daughter, they tell you to go and serve someone else, no. This is why Messiah can say, he that loves father or mother more than me is not worthy of me. He that loves son or daughter more than me is not worthy of me. Because if we do, then they'll take us away. And that's why he said, don't marry the daughters of foreign nations, because they'll turn your heart away from serving me. And he that takes not his cross and follows not after me is not worthy of me. And so, brothers and sisters, it's very simple. It's very simple. It doesn't matter who comes to us with miracles, with signs, with fairness of speech, with promises of this and that. Again, going back to the very simple thing we were taught as a kid. Hey, kid, I got some candy in the van here. You want to come in and join me? No. Hey, kid, your mom said that I should pick you up and take you to her. Come on in. No, I will not, mister. That's the childlike sense that I want to have with Yahweh's Torah. Like, no, sir. No, I will not. I will keep the commandments of Yahweh. What does David say? Away from me, evildoers, that I may keep the commandments of my Elohim. So loyalty to him above all, and this chapter proves that point to us. Obviously, we're not stoning our family members for doing these things. We're living in a dispersed country. The Torah is not ruler over it. Now, some people would be like, "Whoa, so you're saying that you would if you were?" Let me answer with this scenario. You have the world that you have today, right? Let's say instantly you'd have a world ruled by Torah. Let's just take it to maybe where you live, your community. And let's say instantly, right away, adulterers caught in the act, 2 provable witnesses would be brought in front of the entire community and put to death. Let me ask you a question. What do you think would happen to the adultery rates instantly? Likewise, under the famous passage that people that hate the Torah want to be like, oh, you want to stone your child? You like the Torah, huh, buddy? Yeah, I do. Do I want to stone my child? No. And that shows me the importance. It reinforces the importance of why I need to train them up with all my heart, soul, and mind, with diligence. Give them attention. Feed them the word. Train them up in the way they shall go, and they shall not depart. That's what Yahweh promises us. But you have to actually do it. You have to actually till the ground for him to give the rain and the increase. If a disobedient child who was a drunkard and a glutton, beating his parents, not listening to them, was taken in front of the entire community and was executed, let me ask you a question. What does that do to every single child watching? Instantly, you'll have obedience almost like instantaneously. And that is the way of the Father. You may, if you want to call him harsh or savage, be careful. This is what he's done before with Achan. He's like, hey, we're going to take over this nation. Don't take any of the gold, silver. Don't lust after it. Okay, just don't do it. It will be accursed. And of course, they do it anyways. And people die because of them. And they're executed right in front of everyone. That was a reverberating, echoing message for generations. What about Nadab and Abihu that treated their priesthood as a whatever? Then like they go in seemingly drunk, dead instantly. What do you think that did to the heart of the rest of the priests moving forward? They knew that was in the Torah, that they treated their priesthood as a light matter. Eli's sons? They didn't pay attention. They lost their lives too. Korah, when Yahweh was like, hey, I am establishing leadership and you're going to listen to him, and the sedition came, they're like, no, we're all holy and we're not listening to you. You've gone too far, Moses. Boom. Literally opened up hell and threw him right into it. Sending a message. It's not because he's harsh or he likes punishing. But I learned in the Marine Corps, when you have, when a group sees a punishment and they're like, you're like, I do not want to be like that guy. Or if a whole group suffers because of individuals' effort, listen, the group gets its act together very quickly. That's how it works. So anyways, a lot of us don't even live in communities, and a lot of us are so disconnected that this concept doesn't even make sense. We're not community-minded. He's community-minded. He's flock-minded, not individual. He is individual-minded. He loves all of us, but he loves the flock, the collective, more than the individual. And that's how it has to be. For the health and the safety of the flock has to come first. Now, let's go to... do I have anything else on 13? So we just consider there's a lot of false prophets, a lot in our time. And we've got to be like little children that can test people's words off the Torah. So no matter how fair of speech they are, how well of appearance, seeming, position, whatever, we've got to be able to test people's words against the Torah. So to answer your question, yes, I would want to live now, moving forward, now that I know the Torah, of course, I would like to live in a place where that is how it's run. It's a hard statement because it's almost, I don't know if an oxymoron is the right word here, but in saying that, had Torah been around when I lived my prodigal son life, I would have been killed many times over, and I deserve death. But at some point, he's going to set his nation up, and the nation is going to rule over all the nations, and Torah will be implemented. So, maybe everyone does get a clean slate through the blood of Christ, right? And if so, one day we'll be able to enter a land or have a land where Torah is the ruling principle, and he knows what's best. So if he knows that this type of visible punishment, so that all Israel will hear and fear, then I know he knows what's best. And I'll stick with him, and I'll back him. Even though it may seem harsh, or we may have been raised up in a way that seems too overly harsh, I trust him. Deuteronomy 14, another good reason I trust him. He made me, so he will know what is best for me. Therefore, I still follow Deuteronomy chapter 14. Praise Yah. Let's take a listen.
Devarim, Deuteronomy chapter 14. You are the children of Yahuwah Elohaikim. You shall not cut yourselves, nor make any baldness between your eyes for the dead. For you are a holy people unto Yahuwah Elohaikim, and Yahuwah has chosen you to be a peculiar people unto himself, above all the nations that are upon the earth. You shall not eat any abominable thing. These are the beasts which ye shall eat: the ox, the sheep, and the goat, the deer, and the roebuck, and the fallow deer, and the wild goat, and the pygarg, and the wild ox, and the chamois, and every beast that parts the hoof, and cleaves the cleft into two claws, and chews the cud among the beasts, that ye shall eat. Nevertheless, these ye shall not eat of them that chew the cud, or of them that divide the cloven hoof, as the camel, and the hare, and the coney, for they chew the cud, but divide not the hoof. Therefore they are unclean unto you. And the swine, because it divides the hoof, yet chews not the cud, it is unclean unto you. Ye shall not eat of their flesh, nor touch their dead carcass. These ye shall eat of all that are in the waters. All that have fins and scales shall ye eat. And whatsoever has not fins and scales ye may not eat. It is unclean unto you. Of all clean birds ye shall eat. But these are they of which ye shall not eat: the eagle, and the ossifrage, and the osprey, and the glede, and the kite, and the vulture after his kind, and every raven after his kind, and the owl, and the nighthawk, and the cacao, and the hawk after his kind, the little owl, and the great owl, and the swan, and the pelican, and the gyre eagle, and the cormorant, and the stork, and the heron after her kind, and the lapwing, and the bat. And every creeping thing that flies is unclean unto you. They shall not be eaten. But of all clean fowls ye may eat. Ye shall not eat of anything that dies of itself. You shall give it unto the stranger that is in your gates, that he may eat it. Or you may sell it unto an alien. For you are a holy people unto Yahuwah Elohaikim. Ye shall not seethe a kid in his mother's milk. You shall truly tithe all the increase of your seed, that the field brings forth year by year. And you shall eat before Yahuwah Elohaikim in the place which he shall choose to place his name there, the tithe of your grain, of your wine, and of your oil, and the firstlings of your herd and of your flocks, that you may learn to fear Yahuwah Elohaikim always. And if the way be too long for you, so that you are not able to carry it, or if the place be too far from you, which Yahuwah Elohaikim shall choose to set his name there, when Yahuwah Elohaikim has blessed you, then you shall turn it into money, and bind up the money in your hand, and shall go unto the place which Yahuwah Elohaikim shall choose. And you shall bestow that money for whatsoever your soul lusts after, for oxen, or for sheep, or for wine, or for strong drink, or for whatsoever your soul desires. And you shall eat there before Yahweh Elohika, and you shall rejoice, you and your household. And the Levii that is within your gates, you shall not forsake him, for he has no part nor inheritance with you. At the end of 3 years you shall bring forth all the tithe of your increase the same year, and shall lay it up within your gates. And the Levii, because he has no part nor inheritance with you, and the stranger, and the fatherless, and the widow, which are within your gates, shall come, and shall eat and be satisfied, that Yahweh Elohika may bless you, and all the work of your hand which you do.
Hallelujah. So, going up to verse 1 here. So consider, there's quite a few people that are like, oh yeah, so, you stay away from pork, big deal. This is a big deal. This is a big deal. It says, starts off with, you are a holy people unto Yahweh. He has chosen you to be peculiar, different people unto himself above all the nations of the earth. And it literally leads off with that as a setting up for, hey, what you eat is important. I mean, lest we forget the Garden of Eden, and how could we say he doesn't care what we eat? I mean, at least started this whole process, right? That's what got him kicked out of the garden, so we can't say that. A lot of the misunderstandings are, Paul says nothing is unclean of itself, and if we bless it, he's talking about food that's designated here. He's not talking about changing what Yahweh, and then of course Peter's vision, which is just about the different nations represented as animals ready to receive the gospel, have been cleansed. And let's also just look at prophetic scripture. It says, Isaiah 66:15, for behold, Yahweh will come with fire, and with his chariots like a whirlwind. We read about that earlier. To render his anger with fury, and his rebuke with flames of fire. For by fire and by his sword will Yahweh plead with all flesh, and the slain of Yahweh shall be many. They that sanctify themselves and purify themselves in the gardens behind one tree in the midst, eating swine's flesh, aka pig, pork, and the abomination and the mouse shall be consumed together. And that's not a good consuming. That's destroyed. And then you've got Isaiah 65, but actually the previous chapter goes a little further. I have spread out my hands all the day into a rebellious people, which walks in a way that was not good after their own thoughts. A people that provokes me to anger continually to my face, that sacrifices in gardens and burns incense upon altars of brick. So this is a kind of hidden poetic language for Torah breaking. This burning incense upon an altar of brick is unauthorized. Literally, it says that we can't do that. So this is basically people being like, hey, I want to serve you, but the way I want to, which remain among the graves and lodge in the monuments. This makes me think of like grave soaking and stuff like that. But which eat pork and broth of abominable things is in their vessels, which say, stand by thyself and come not near me, for I am holier than you. These are a smoke in my nose, a fire that burns all day. Behold, it is written before me, I will not keep silence, but will repay, even repay into their bosom. So this is yet to come. And so it's like, for me in my house, we're like, that's an easy no way. I don't care how good it smells, which is something repulsive to me now. But anyway, so obviously, speaking from an American perspective, pork is the pig in the room here. That, I mean, let's be honest. I mean, like, I don't watch TV anymore, but when I used to, it's like every commercial was like it was like pepperoni pizza or like Baconator or anything, or just potato skins at TGI Fridays, pork. Like everything has pork on it. Like, and it's like, if this is an abomination to him, and these are one of the many things among a list. This isn't just like, hey, you start eating clean and now like you're all of a sudden super righteous and holy, but this is part of the process. This is part of the many angled and many fold of his walk and his house rules. And consider that we eat every day, and many people 3 times a day. So having a list of what should and should not go in your mouth would be pretty much expected from the person that created me. And so Again, that's an easy, yes, sir. All right. Hey, I'll be honest. Back in the day, in my wayward days, I used to like some seafood that's unlawful now, and it's repulsive to me. I couldn't even imagine. You couldn't pay me, like just no. No, thank you. Like, so I know now. It's manifold. It's not just I'm a Torah keeper, so I ain't doing it. Well, that's part of it. I don't act like that, but like, some people act like that. But it's not just that. It's I love him, and it's like, okay. He's like, don't be abominable. Okay, like I want to be in his presence, so obviously I don't want to be abominable. So it's an easy one. Some of the So the beasts is pretty easy. The sheep, the goat, deer, the chamois. Obviously, stuff like not eating lions and tigers and bears, that's pretty easy. That goes on pause. What did I want to mention here? So the seafood should be pretty easy. Everything that has fins and scales. Some of the ones that people have questioned over the years, like tuna, even though the scales are thin and very small, they are scales. What's the other ones people have questions about usually? It's usually tuna is the big one. And then, of course, if it doesn't have fins and scales, usually big trip hazards are like catfish is a big one. What's another common one? No, it's usually just catfish is the big one. Because cod is good. Pollock is good. Clean, at least. I don't know if it's good. It's clean. Salmon, the best. That's like a once-in-a-week item for us. Salmon. I love salmon. My wife does an excellent salmon. Thank you. And then here's the birds is the interesting one. Usually the contention is over chickens and turkeys, and every year the chicken thing comes up. Every year around Thanksgiving, people call the turkey the abomination of desolation and the forbidden meat that goes in people's mouths. But the birds is an interesting list. The birds is an exclusionary list, and so literally it's like he clarifies this with opening with birds. Hey, all clean birds you can eat. And then he talks about a bunch of birds. And then, he ends with, bookends it. Hey, all clean birds you eat. So, as a reasonable man, that lets me know that I start off with a baseline of birds are clean. Then he tells me which ones not to eat. So, if it's not on this list, I can eat it. Regardless of eating habits. Like, for example, people are usually like, pig eats yucky stuff, is yucky and unclean. But it doesn't always work out that way. And this is why you have to lean on, not on your own understanding, but literally what he tells us to and not tell us to, and not to add to or take away. Because people are like, okay, chicken eats yucky stuff, must be then yucky, because chickens will eat anything, right? But the difference is they have a crop, and it's a filtration device that these birds of prey do not have. Eagles don't have ossifrage, the osprey, the gleeds, kites, vultures. These are all ravenous birds of prey. The ravens, the owls, these are all hunting, carnivorous and birds that eat carrion, dead bodies and stuff. But like even like people are like, oh well, if it eats unclean stuff like a chicken will eat worms and ticks and what about the quail? Quail. Look at the diet of the quail, and Yahweh fed them quail, and quail is clean. So I'm of the understanding, long-winded, and I'm not mocking anybody or degrading or humiliating or downing anyone that does believe that chicken is unclean. A lot of people that raise chickens are usually the ones that are like, no, because without really good maintenance, they can get really yucky really quickly. And the stuff that they'll even eat like dead chickens and stuff like that. And so they'll look at that and be like, no way. And I'm not judging you for it, but I believe that Yahweh made the crop, which filters that just like, So anyways, without belaboring that point there, again, I just take him very literally. He's like, all clean birds you can eat. Hey, these don't eat. Hey, all clean birds you can eat. I'm like, all right, well, I'm going from a baseline that birds are clean. You've told me, good sir, good master, which ones I am not to eat. And I can rest in that. So let's just consider the Elohim of Elohim that created everything knows of the existence of a chicken and knew it would be the most common bird on the entire earth. He would have definitely included, by the way, the chicken, even though they're amazing with their egg laying and how productive they are and how awesome they are getting rid of scraps and how vital they are to your farm and how wonderful those eggs could be for you, don't touch them. He would have told us. So again, I'm just sharing with you what I've come to conclusions about some doctrines that have come my way and why I've not clung to them. So then let's see a couple of things. It says, you shall not seethe a kid in his mother's milk. Again, coming from Judaism, they interpret this as not being able to mix meat and dairy together in a meal, which really, the more I study the word, I just don't understand. Literally, Abraham, the father of the faith, served dairy and meat at the same time. So I'm not understanding that. But it's definitely a good version of adding to that really makes, it's very confusing. How I visited Israel, they had like meat restaurants and then they had restaurants with everything else. Like, okay. Or meat restaurants that had no dairy, and it was just really weird. But I shouldn't be judgy, but it's just it's an example of a man-made tradition that doesn't make any sense when I think this is just directly tied to likewise you shall do with your oxen, with your sheep 7 days it shall be with his dam, no doubt on the milk, on the 8th day you shall give it to me. So don't be offering any animals before then. Tithes. What do I say? A lot of people will be like, tithing's not today because you see it's grain, wine, oil. He does say, if it's too far for you, you can turn it into money, and then you can tithe with the money. So that is evident. The whole purpose of the tithes was, of course, to keep the priesthood going, for them to be able to do what they needed to do. That was how they lived. But what's different, but the tithes that the priests and the Levites received, they actually served the people, whereas the dynamic I was sharing with other religions, so I don't even want to talk about it. It's so corrupt. So I've always found a lot of blessing in doing so, but I'm not going to sit here and do a teaching on tithing because then it's just like, oh, Adam's just doing that so he can get your money. So I'm just going to move on. I just say, hey, I think tithing is a good idea, and I don't think it's done away with. So we'll just leave it at that. Interesting wording here. It says, you shall bestow that money for whatever your soul lusts after. Again, we're not getting unhinged with this. I know the creator of heaven and earth isn't being like, hey, you can do, I'm going to mention some of these drugs by name, but that's not what he's talking about here. He's giving you some examples, right? Oxen, sheep, wine, strong drink. Now, some people will be like, raise an eyebrow with wine and strong drink. Like, oh, what? He's encouraging drinking? Yeah, it's a celebration. Enjoy yourself. I don't drink. I'm a Nazarite, but I know what it's like to have like a drink or two and to enjoy conversation with friends and family and to sing with a little more exuberance and a little more, freeing feeling. I know what it's like to be quiet, not be able to talk very much, but, I used to have a glass of wine or two and all of a sudden I'm having great conversation with friends at dinner or something. And so wine, alcohol, with moderation and in small quantities is a huge blessing from the Most High. I don't even drink, right? So I'm not pushing some personal doctrine here. So to go to the feasts and to be able to relax and enjoy yourself with family and friends and to thank our Creator, which it does. Anyone that has had a glass of wine or two or, or a beer or two, it's like it brings out this just natural accompaniment to enjoyment. It shouldn't be the source of enjoyment for people. It should be like a companion to it. And again, with self-controlled small quantities. And so the Most High is not giving you a license to people to get hammered drunk and be passing out and doing stupid things, because we know that drunkards will not inherit the kingdom of heaven. It doesn't say people who drink wine will not inherit the kingdom of heaven. It says drunkards. So I'm realizing that this walk has extremes, or not extremes, but two sides of the spectrum and things in between. Again, we've talked about it before. There's times for judgment and to hold someone's feet to the fire, and for punishment, and there's time for just mercy and forgiveness and release. And there's times for things in between. There's times for correction, for mercy, but with a little bit of correction. There's times for, and so there's two polar opposites of complete abstinence of alcohol and drunkenness, and then there's stuff in between, like people being able to have a glass of wine or two, or with dinner and enjoyment in times of celebration, the feast days and things like that. So I put a link in here for the chapter 3 of the Testament of Judah, which in my opinion is one of the best chapters that goes over the difference between moderate drinking, and drunkenness. And anyone that needs help, if anyone out there is struggling with drunkenness, this is something to take a hold of. It does say that the drunkards will be outside the gates. And that, or I'm sorry, Galatians 5, specifically the fruits of the flesh is drunkenness, and will not inherit the kingdom of Elohim. So Testament of Judah, chapter 3, and others were instrumental in my life to really want to quit drinking. I was delivered of it for several years, but then I came back to the walk, and I was like, I was enjoying myself, and then I started to let self-control go a little bit. I was like, and I got scared, and it was books like that I was like, you know what? At least for me, the best thing to do would be completely eliminated. And it was right around the time I was reading about the Nazarite vow, and it just seemed right for me. So, but anyways, those of you who are not Nazarites, and those of you that can enjoy alcohol with moderation, enjoy it. Don't let anybody tell you, false religions are formed off of being like anti-drinking and stuff like that. And so that ain't it. And that's why children flee. They flee man-made traditions like that. They're like, yeah, this ain't it. You're lying. There's no way. All right, so let's go on to chapter 15.
Devarim, Deuteronomy, chapter 15. At the end of every 7 years, you shall make a release. And this is the manner of the release. Every creditor that lends aught unto his neighbor shall release it. He shall not exact it of his neighbor, or of his brother, because it is called Yahweh's release. Of a foreigner you may exact it again, but that which is yours with your brother your hand shall release. Save when there shall be no poor among you, for Yahweh shall greatly bless you in the land which Yahweh Elohika gives you for an inheritance to possess it. Only if you carefully hearken unto the voice of Yahweh Elohika, to guard to do all these commandments which I command you this day. For Yahweh Elohika blesses you, as he promised you, and you shall lend unto many nations, but you shall not borrow. And you shall reign over many nations, but they shall not reign over you. If there be among you a poor man of one of your brethren within any of your gates in your land which Yahweh Elohika gives you, you shall not harden your heart, nor shut your hand from your poor brother, but you shall open your hand wide unto him, and shall surely lend him sufficient for his need, in that which he wants. Beware that there be not a thought in your wicked heart, saying, the 7th year, the year of release is at hand, and your eye be evil against your poor brother, and you give him not, that he cry unto El Yahweh against you, and it be sin unto you. You shall surely give him, and your heart shall not be grieved when you give unto him, because that for this thing Yahweh Elohika shall bless you in all your works, and in all that you put your hand unto. For the poor shall never cease out of the land. Therefore I command you, saying, you shall open your hand wide unto your brother, to your poor and to your needy in your land. And if your brother, an Ivri man or an Ivri woman, be sold unto you, and serve you 6 years, then in the 7th year you shall let him go free from you. And when you send him out free from you, you shall not let him go away empty. You shall furnish him liberally out of your flock, and out of your floor, and out of your winepress, of that wherewith Yahweh Elohika has blessed you, you shall give unto him. And you shall remember that you were a bondman in the land of Mitzrayim, and Yahweh Elohika redeemed you. Therefore I command you this thing today. And it shall be, if he say unto you, I will not go away from you, because he loves you and your house, because he is well with you. Then you shall take an awl, and thrust it through his ear unto the door, and he shall be your servant forever. And also unto your maidservant you shall do likewise. It shall not seem hard unto you when you send him away free from you, for he has been worth a double hired servant to you, in serving you 6 years. And Yahweh Elohika shall bless you in all that you do. All the firstling males that come of your herd and of your flock you shall sanctify unto Yahweh Elohika. You shall do no work with the firstling of your bullock, nor shear the firstling of your sheep. You shall eat it before Yahweh Elohika, year by year, in the place which Yahweh shall choose, you and your household. And if there be any blemish therein, as if it be lame or blind or have any ill blemish, you shall not sacrifice it unto Yahweh Elohika. You shall eat it within your gates. The unclean and the clean person shall eat it alike, as the roebuck and as the deer. Only you shall not eat the blood thereof. You shall pour it upon the ground as water.
Man, I've been really thinking about this lately. We've got prophecies that state that the islands shall wait for his law. Right here, the islands shall wait for his law. The nations, right, many people shall come and say, "Come, let us go up to the mountain of Yahweh, the house of Elohim. He will teach us of his ways, and we will walk in his paths, for out of Zion shall go forth the law." And so people don't even know it, but the fix for people talk about the coming beast system. What are you talking about? The beast system is here. The one world order and the one world currency and the one world dominance they're talking about to scare you about is Messiah's one world order that's coming to destroy their perverted system that's already in place right now. This king of Tyre, gather all the riches as the sand of the sea unto myself, through usury and through death by many cuts, through vampirism, like financial vampirism, through craftiness, through deceit, through crushing oppression. You want to talk about freedom? The Torah is freedom. Like, can you imagine what the world would look like? Just say tomorrow. Let's just say, hey, the world that is now ruled by Torah. Well, instantly, you'd have the debt release. I don't know if it'd be instituted that exact moment, but it would either be then or coming very soon. I imagine that when the restoration happens, it happens on a Jubilee year. So that would be my assessment of that, or my conclusion for that. But debts would be canceled. Land would be reassigned to its proper owners. Mega corporations would be crushed. The only people that would be sad would be the 1%. The people that had the 1% that owns 90% of the wealth, or whatever that figure is, that would be overturned almost instantly. It'd be the end of tyrannical monopolies. The debt-based system would collapse immediately. It would be the equalizer. And just think of the relief of people's burdens in their lives that would be instantly had if in one moment that would happen. I've seen it. I've even seen in the past that people are like waiting for the end times, that they hope that the financial collapse would happen so that maybe they would have like this reset, and people are just begging for this reset. The Torah has this reset every 7 years, at least for debts. The things that crush us are these debts, at least in my experience. I mean, I've even been fairly successful in periods of my time of my life making a decent amount of money, but it's like that debt and the interest is so crushing, and you just get yourself all wrapped up in it. Obviously, get out of it if you can. Work towards it. Work diligently towards getting out of it. It's crushing. It's slavery. I mean, that's what it literally says in Proverbs. He who is in debt is in servitude to the lender. I don't know. I'm messing that up. It's very similar. And so, anyways, just think of the freedom that would be worldwide felt if just this release was instituted. And so people look at the Torah and be like, oh yeah, so look, he loves having slaves. But if you actually look at the laws guarding the servant, aka slave, they actually live really good lives. They're given safe places to rest. They have good jobs. They're fed well. They're cared for by their master, and they're instructed that when they leave, you bless them abundantly out of your house. So it's almost like we think that we're living in a free society now with the kind of slave-like jobs we have, but yet there's a free ribbon over it. But really, who would be the free people? It would be these. I would argue that the people that would be submitted or working under these landowners would be more free than most employees today that have this quote-unquote freedom, but yet they're slaves to sin, they're slaves to debt, they're slaves to lusts, they're slaves to their bellies, they're slaves to sedentary lifestyles, slaves to video games, slaves to Netflix. Obviously, I'm going off the rails here, but from a very just work and pay standpoint, I'd rather have what the Torah talks about than the 9-to-5 jobs that people, these cubicle jobs, these factory jobs. And I'm not pouring salt on anyone's job, but I think a lot of you, if you're honest, really would like a much better way than how it is now. And I think the Torah brings that. And this is why I am now convinced that the Torah is an entire lifestyle. This isn't just feast days and Sabbaths and clean eating and tzitzit. This is an entire lifestyle. It's how you treat your wife. It's how you treat your kids. It's what you eat. It is how you handle yourself financially. It's how you handle yourself health-wise. It's how you handle a situation when health situations, unsanitary situations break out. It is literally like communal sanitary restrictions. I mean, it's like almost everything we need. Not almost. Everything we need from a basic standpoint is here in the Torah. So I am a huge fan of it, and I'm going to spend the rest of my days seeing the Master's work, that the Torah goes forth and that the islands wait for it. And whatever he deems me part of it, whether it's just maybe just making YouTube videos for the rest of my life here, whatever it is. Lately it's been singing songs. I know most of you don't like him, and it's okay, and that's not coming from a wounded heart. It's just like, I know I play genres that most people don't like, and that's okay. I'm just doing the best I can to hear the incoming still small voice and applying it to my life. And so thus I've spent quite a bit of time making music that is against the grain, I guess. But hey, maybe someone will listen. Maybe someone will listen to the messages. That's my goal, is to fish for men with music. So anyways, and so obviously consider a big part of this chapter also is about caring for the poor. And so we want to talk about, like, Messiah doesn't want you focusing on Torah. He wants you focusing on, like, caring for others. Okay, Torah is caring for others. Right? You shall surely give him, and your heart shall not be grieved when you give it to him, because for that thing Yahweh blesses you. Right? Don't have this evil eye against your poor brother. Give him and give him nothing. Right? But you shall give him whatever he needs. Right? Take care of him. This is Torah. That is Torah. That's the Matthew 25 stuff. That you clothed me. When I was naked. When I was hungry, you fed me. When I was in prison, you visited me. When I was sick, you came to me. This is that stuff, right? This is that heart right here. It just had to be explained more and more and more because they weren't getting it. All right. Once again, no blood. No blood. Just don't do it. Don't do it. A couple years ago when I was doing this study, there was a phenomenon that they were applying just direct. They would leach their own. They would let out their own blood and apply it like in wrinkle spots, and the wrinkles are disappearing. Well, no wonder. But like, what kind of yuck? Just say no to the blood.
Devarim, Deuteronomy, chapter 16. Guard the month of Aviv, and keep the Pesach unto Yahweh Elohika. For in the month of Aviv, Yahweh Elohika brought you forth out of Mitzrayim by night. You shall therefore sacrifice the Pesach unto Yahweh Elohika, of the flock and the herd, in the place which Yahweh shall choose to place his name there. You shall eat no chametz with it. 7 days shall you eat matzah therewith, even the bread of affliction, for you came forth out of the land of Mitzrayim in haste, that you may remember the day when you came forth out of the land of Mitzrayim all the days of your life. And there shall be no chametz seen with you in all your coasts 7 days, neither shall there anything of the flesh, which you sacrifice the first day at evening, remain all night until the morning. You may not sacrifice the Pesach within any of your gates, which Yahweh Elohika gives you, but at the place which Yahweh Elohika shall choose to place his name in, there you shall sacrifice the Pesach at evening, at the going down of the sun, at the season that you came forth out of Mitzrayim. And you shall roast and eat it in the place which Yahweh Elohika shall choose, and you shall turn in the morning and go unto your tents. 6 days you shall eat matzah, and on the 7th day shall be a solemn assembly to Yahweh Elohika. You shall do no work therein. 7 weeks shall you number unto you. Begin to number the 7 weeks from the time as you begin to put the sickle to the grain. And you shall keep the feast of Shavuot unto Yahweh Elohika, with a tribute of a freewill offering of your hand, which you shall give unto Yahweh Elohika, according as Yahweh Elohika has blessed you. And you shall rejoice before Yahweh Elohika, you and your son and your daughter and your manservant and your maidservant and the Levi that is within your gates, and the stranger and the fatherless and the widow that are among you, in the place which Yahweh Elohika has chosen to place his name there. And you shall remember that you were a bondman in Mitzrayim, and you shall guard and do these statutes. You shall observe the feast of Sukkot 7 days, after that you have gathered in your threshing floor and your wine. And you shall rejoice in your feast, you and your son and your daughter and your manservant and your maidservant, and the Levi, the stranger, and the fatherless, and the widow that are within your gates. 7 days shall you keep a solemn feast unto Yahweh Elohika, in the place which Yahweh shall choose, because Yahweh Elohika shall bless you in all your increase, and in all the works of your hands. Therefore you shall surely rejoice. 3 times in a year shall all your males appear before Yahweh Elohika, in the place which he shall choose, in the feast of Matzah, and in the feast of Shavuot, and in the feast of Sukkot, and they shall not appear before Yahweh empty. Every man shall give as he is able, according to the blessing of Yahweh Elohika, which he has given you.
Man, I'll tell you, the spirit of the feast days is right here. First of all, Daddy knows what's best, and he's like, listen, do this feast, rejoice. He definitely knows what's best. I mean, these feast days have been the joy of my heart. It's definitely, if you guys haven't done feast days out there, it's the best. And that's what I love here is we have people that come with all sorts of different financial situations, people that have excess and then people that literally have negative checking accounts when they get there. And what's cool is everybody comes together and everyone's like one. Financial status doesn't elevate anybody there at the congregation. It only allows those that have more to help those that have little, and it's so cool. It's like Legos fitting. Someone has more, someone has less, but it equalizes when we get there because everyone's needs are met, and it's just the essence of community. It's the essence of these feast days, and it's literally what Yahweh intended. Anyways, he made the strong. He made some stronger to help the weaker, and help the weak so that the strong would have a purpose. And obviously, that's super oversimplification, but I just love his ways. I'm addicted to it, and I don't know. I just want to live it out with you guys for the rest of my life. So I'm going to share a couple songs. Stick around for, if you're here 2 hours and 20 minutes later. Wow. Praise Yah. Victoria, my wife, made her first solo song. It's part of her testimony. It is like grungy type of alternative rock. So those of you that don't like the music, don't recommend it. You probably will just get mad. I don't want you to be mad, not on Shabbat. And then play another one. A couple of songs since last week. Yah's been blessing us. At least I think so. Some people think that we're led by the devil to make this music. I disagree. I think Yahweh is, but we'll let him be the judge, and I guess you guys can as well. So, Passover's coming up. I know our date is a lot later than everyone else, but we're looking at May 2nd. We are having a camp out here. So if you follow Messiah and are doing your best to follow the Torah and want to do the Pesach with us, check out, we'll have some links in the description box. So anyways, let's pray, and then we'll do a couple of songs. We'll do my wife's song, and then another rock song called Battle for the Mind. Brother Mike Barlow he led the study last week at Ancient Path Fellowship, and it was about spiritual warfare, the battle for the mind, and was really stirred by it. And that night I just asked that Yahweh would help me make a song based off of Mike's study. And we'll lead off with that one, and then I'll finish up with my wife's song. So, battle for your mind. Hey, it's a real war out there, brothers and sisters. So, may Yahweh bless you and keep you. Yahweh make his face shine upon you and be gracious unto you. Yahweh lift up his countenance upon you and give you shalom. And as we have been over the last few months, if anyone's able to help out with the mission here, the cause here, Ancient Path Fellowship Revivals, got a community here. Lots of work to do around here. Lots of workers. Just need some help with anyone that can help me partner up and keep the funding going here. So if you're not able to, just pray for us. And thank you. So here we go. Battle for your mind.
Better be prepared. Follow his set snares. The battle for your mind. Gird up my brethren. Stand up and grow strong. Put his armor on. Time for service. Not against flesh and blood. Against principalities. Against powers. The rulers of this darkened world. Treacherous angels and unheavenly realm. Gotta resist and be persistent. It's our mission. Take every thought captive. Casting down imaginations and any other thing against my Elohim. Gotta resist and be persistent. It's our mission. Take every thought captive. Casting down imaginations and any other thing against my Elohim. Chemical warfare, daily in the air, still doesn't compare. The battle for your mind. Many distractions, nothing but poison. Turn your eyes back on the ways of Most High. Train up the children, give them attention. Feed them the word and prepare them for life. Devils are roaring, no more delaying. Time for uniting, don't be forgetting. Not against flesh and blood. Against principalities, against powers. The rulers of this darkened world. Treacherous angels and heavenly realm. Gotta resist and be persistent. It's our mission. Take every thought captive. Casting down imaginations and any other thing against my Elohim. Gotta resist and be persistent. It's our mission. Take every thought captive. Casting down imaginations and any other thing against my Elohim.
For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. Wherefore take unto you the whole armor of Elohim, that ye may be able to withstand in the evil day, and having done all, to stand. Stand therefore, having your loins girt about with truth, and having on the breastplate of righteousness, and your feet shod with the preparation of the gospel of peace. Above all, taking the shield of faith, wherewith ye shall be able to quench all the fiery darts of the wicked, and take the helmet of salvation, and the sword of the Spirit